any part of it, because the scope 3, the module 3, is quite critical in a sense. It requires time and effort. So what we have done, we have prepared pre-reading material. I hope everybody has read. And we have also prepared post-reading material, which I believe you should read. So I will do my duty. But end of the day, you have to read things around it. And my duty was to give you guidebooks, challenges, test you immediately after learning the concept. That I will do. But end of the day, you have to solve some cases. When we will start the module 4, of course, we expect that we are coming to end, and thereby you should be learning the strategies to build such kind of a scope 1, 2, 3 calculation and a strategy to mitigate carbon emission. Okay. So here onwards, like last lecture, we were quite practice oriented. And here onwards, we will be application oriented today. Practice plus application is what your mindset should work towards. Okay. Not alone. Only to practice, but also how to apply the concept which we are going to cover. Without further ado, let's start module 3. What is session coverage? Of course, we are trying to cover the emission overview. We will look into the category-wise breakdown of scope 3. We will look into the important challenges of scope 3, and then eventually this also becomes part of your ESGPro 5-step model, where you have to find the emission factor for each of the category and then multiply it with activity data of that category, calculate, and then finally step 5, which is report and verify. Now, we have already covered national frameworks. We have covered scope 1 and 2. Now, scope 3 remains challenging because of this graph, which is on left-hand side of your screen. As you can see, scope 3 normally 90 to 95% of the emission in any organization setup, except in few cases, right? Those few cases also are critical. So let's see them first. You see, cement steel sector, they account for approximately 80 to 90%, right? If you see the red lines there are the scope 3. And this data I'm directly taking from CDP, authority in this particular area where more than 6,000 companies are reporting. Okay. And actually, there is estimate that 90% of Fortune 500 companies use CDP for their reporting mechanism. And when CDP has conducted, they regularly conduct surveys, they found out all those companies are using GHG protocol as their measurement for carbon accounting. Okay. So as you can see, following industry, we have financial service industry, capital goods industry, transport, OEMs, real estate companies, construction companies, metal and mining, agriculture, oil and gas, general companies as well, along with food and beverage. You will find all of them, including chemical, has more than 80% for sure coming from scope 3 emission. So emission lies in the scope 3 emission. The rest of it, like coal, paper and forestry, electric utilities, transport, they are lesser than 70%. Okay. And specifically cement and steel, along with transport services, accounts for 20 to 40% nearly comes from the scope 3, and 60 to 80% comes from scope 1 and 2. Okay. So this is quite interesting statistics which will help you in your consulting assignment, understanding, etc. Right? Now, but before you understand it, what are those different activity according to GHG protocol which we should be learning? Now, as you understand, the scope 3 emission recording or reporting has an objective that you understand clearly what constitutes the scope 3 emission. The bifurcation of that constitutes are important, right? Because each of them has a different style of measurement. there will be a common thin line, which I will be explaining you between all the categories, but still the style and method differs from each category. And that's why this constitute of a scope 3 becomes essential for you to learn and understand. I have repeated several times, it has 15 categories and all those are important. Out of that, of course, 4 to 6 are not very prevalent in Indian market, but still you need to learn, right? Scope 3 emissions are indirect emission, or is it direct emission? How many of you think it is a direct emission?
Scope 3 is always indirect.
Okay, good. And all of this indirect emission that occurs in company's value chain, we should be measuring. Clear? There are two sides of, actually, there are 3 different categories of business operation, which we have learned in operational control method, right? There is one where company operates its own premises, right? The company owned vehicle, company owned equipment, when they run, any emission they make is a scope 1. Any emission which is purchased in form of electricity, steam, heat, cooling, then it is scope 2. Rest of it all, which includes bringing raw material from your supplier side to your side, also goes into upstream activity. Downstream activity starts from anything which you emit or produce, and from there it goes to the consumer side or end of use cycle. Whole thing comes into downstream activity. Clear? So upstream activities are those activities which are before you start processing in your company or factory or services. Before you start processing, all the activity which constitute or support your operation is called upstream activity. And that's why establishing an organization boundary again in scope 3 becomes an essential task, which is basically determining which part of organization will be included or excluded. Always remember, there is no way double counting will happen in scope 1 or 2 sites, but there is every way there can be a double counting happening in a scope 3 calculations. Okay. And that is why putting a boundary in scope 3 also is essential task. Clear? Here, the things start with, you should list all the activity which your company undertakes before it start processing the product or services, right? Or processes, we say. Before any process starts in company, you need to list down those activities. And then categorize those activities into these different categories. There are 8 categories in upstream activity, and there are 7 categories in downstream activity. Are you with me? 8 in upstream, 7 in downstream. If you add them together, it's 50 total. Clear? Now, of course, we have already discussed this slide, which is as per CDP analysis, scope 3 emission all across the sectors are listed. So this is the verified data which I am sharing with you. And sector specific scope 3 emission amounts for average 75% of total scope 1, 2, and 3 comes from scope 3 on an average, if you take an average of all the industry. So it's still scope 3 emission controls the output of your total carbon accounting. Why it is important? There are 6 different factors why it is important. The first is the comprehensive assessment. Without having scope 3 in place, you will never get a complete picture of organization total greenhouse gas emission. Okay, you will be always lopsided because only 25% effectively you are reporting, irrespective of which industry you are. With the law of average, I am talking about here. Yeah. So comprehensive assessment is not happening if you don't have scope 3 emission done properly. Second is stakeholder accountability. Now, just by telling your stakeholder 25% of the emission and taking action on it, will it satisfy them in long term? Absolutely not. The transparency goes for a toss the moment you say that 75% of my greenhouse gas emission I'm not reporting. And that's why to enhance the transparency and build the trust with the stakeholder, like investor, customer, or regulator, you need to have a scope 3. Then regulatory compliance. Now, most of the regulatory compliances have already built that you should start looking into your scope 3 emission. They have not made it mandatory, but they have already recommended that you should calculate. Not even recommended, but they have put a guidelines to, you should be start looking into it. And that is why it anticipates the future regulation which are going to come and make it mandatory. So better you start doing now. It also gives a competitive advantage, right? Which differentiate the organization by showcasing environmental responsibility. And then you have a supply chain improvement is another factor why people should report a scope 3 emissions, because you cannot tell anything to your supply chain without having a data in your hand, right? And that is why in order to get them also ESG transitioned along with you need to showcase them that you are calculating their emissions and recording as a scope 3. And this, of course, makes an informed decision along with global goal alignment. So these are few important factors why scope 3 emission is important. Now, apart from that, let's also understand there are challenges which lies in scope 3 emission. The route to Himalayas are not easy, right? It looks beautiful, but only when you cross all the hurdle in between. So what are those major challenges for scope 3? It starts with the data availability itself. There will be lot many volume-wise company will be there who cannot do or calculate the scope 1 emission for themselves. Neither they have the muscle power, which is money to invest in, nor they have time to do it. They are working with a small margin, which you only has set. And very good example is automobile ancillary businesses, right? They have a limited margin to play with, correct? And they have to also keep on upgrading themselves, otherwise they will be out of business. And thereby to invest in such kind of activity, softwares and calculation, they will raise their hand saying that I am not able to provide you data. Second one is, of course, data consistency, right? Because these organizations are not well organized, the data consistency, variability in the reporting standard and methodology which they are adopting will always be a challenge, along with the supply chain complexity. Supply chain for a lot of large companies, very complex. Saying or asking them to start reporting on scope 1, 2, and 3 is easier than getting it done, because you yourself is unable to establish that supply chain the way they are complex in nature. And then, of course, supplier engagement. A lot of them doesn't want to get engaged in such exercise. The challenges in motivating them to pick up calculation of greenhouse gases emission itself is a challenge. Last but not least, emission estimation relies on lot of inaccurate calculation. And that is why people say better to get it LCA done for one of your products so you know where the fluff in the system is. Yeah. So ideally in our consulting assignment, in order to create a scope 3 emission reporting, first we say that let's start doing a life cycle assessment for you, at least for product. Okay. And once that happens, you will have a better footing. Now,
So I have a question.
yeah. Okay.
Uh, say if I'm a company that deals with the wholesaling of vegetables and fruits, and I source directly from farmers, right? So they are my vendors, but they don't really have the information about what kind of carbon emissions that they are doing, or what kind of pesticides will cause. So in that case, how can I report that? Can I just say that I don't have that data and get done with it, or how does it work?
Yes, it is your responsibility to motivate them,
Yeah.
educate them,
Yeah.
invest on their behalf. If you are really making a lot of money being a
Mhm.
wholesaler, it's your responsibility to educate them. However, in agriculture sector, it's a massive requirement right now.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are able to do it. A lot of people are
Okay.
able to do it. Why they are doing it? Because they are telling farmer that forget about how much money I am paying you to buy your produce.
Mhm.
If you really want to be profitable and make extra bucks, start selling carbon credit, because in agriculture it's
Yeah.
very easy to capture.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of large, industrial farms which are there, they have already started capitalizing on it. But yes, I agree with you. If you are a small wholesaler sitting in a remote corner in India, it will be very difficult for you to ask even farmer to get motivated and do. And
Yeah,
that
so in
is
that
why,
case,
Kailash,
yeah.
that is why percentage of disclosing company are very less right now. Yeah, you have another question. Go ahead.
No, I mean, so in that case, so there will not be any information available. So then what do I do if I'm reporting? As in, then I just say that this is missing
Of course,
or
you
not
will say
available,
that data is not available.
and
You have to be
that's it, right?
authentic. Yeah, of course, transparency has to be maintained. If you are
Okay.
reporting, say I'm reporting. If you are not getting data itself, you will say I'm not getting data.
Okay.
Okay, you
No, I
cannot
mean, I don't have
hide
to
that
put
fact.
like I don't have to put an average number and nothing like that, right?
No, no, why? Why you want to do that?
And I'm just saying.
No, no,
Also,
good question. By the way, let me ask, how many of you agree with Kailash that if we are not getting data, can we just say on an average, each farmer in India is emitting so much, that particular produce, and thereby I am taking that as my scope 3 emission. How many of you think that's the right methodology? I'm just asking, you think, I'm not saying you will do it, but I'm just asking, how many of you think that will at least give comfort to international buyer of my produce that they are buying something right? Yes or no? Either in chat box, give it in chat box, because if you will say in one go, I can't hear who said what. But it's a good survey which Kailash want to get it done.
also one last question on this. So
And let's
say
do that as well. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, no. So
Meanwhile, let people vote. Yeah.
if my farmer is producing say 10 types of vegetables or fruits, whatever, but I take only three of them.
Hmm.
Okay, so then I have to only account for those three, right? Not all his entire emissions for the other ones, right?
I didn't get you. If you have
Like if the
farmer,
farmer is growing 5 items and I only want 2 items,
correct,
I'm only taking 2 items from him. So
right,
I will only report the emissions regarding those 2 items, right? Not all five.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, okay,
Very good.
okay.
Yeah. So Bala Vijay, you are saying that we should take the average. Somnath is also saying you should take the average. Ravi said that no, I feel that since this will not serve the principle of accuracy, I will not take. Okay. Anybody else? Three people have responded. Shivangi, what do you think? No, she also declined. So two people said yes, two people said no.
I
What
would really
about
like
others?
it if we can debate this for a few minutes.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Okay,
Absolutely
yeah.
for you only. Let's get it done once for all. Who all are there, by the way? Bala has voted. Oh, there are 10 people. Maybe disclose with a disclaimer. So he is also on yes side. Okay. So three people on yes side, two people on no side. Do we have a tiebreaker here? Anyone? I
So
has
you
been and I'm just
you can be the tiebreaker.
I will not be, because my opinion is very clear cut. There is no in between. So I want that how people are thinking. That's what we want to understand, right?
I mean, for me, instead of missing all data completely, you can just put an average just to consider something because it's still emissions and you're
You
still
have
kind of
several people think like that, actually.
yeah.
See, 60% of current population, whoever has voted,
Mhm.
even though the sample size is less, they
Mhm.
say that you are right, Kailash, you are right. And in market also, this is assumption that if you have nothing, can you prepare a blank report? On that ground, a lot of people are filling the pages. But trouble remains with, uh, again, it's a dicey question. Yes, Megha. Megha is the one who asked such kind of dicey questions. Megha, what do you think? You are there in the group.
Sir, I'm so sorry. I'm still driving, so like little lost with the traffic also.
Okay, okay, fair.
Um,
Yeah. What do
Actually,
you
I was
think?
thinking on the same note as what Kailash was saying, but eventually I shifted my stand and I'm on the no side.
Okay.
For me, I think
On that
so.
principle of accuracy, I don't know. I missed a couple of statements in between because of network also. So,
So somebody
but
said
yes,
that principle of accuracy will be disturbed. So out of 5 principle, definitely accuracy goes out for a toss because it's not accurate data. I know it is not accurate data.
right.
So
And more to it is it's more arguments because anytime if we get better picture clear in the following years, then retrospection we have to redo the calculations. So better we do not do something which has got no actual evidence of. Matlab, you have no record of it. Matlab,
Hmm.
by just using averages. So maybe if we don't have, we go by transparency principle that okay, we're not recording this. Maybe.
Okay, so
So
you
now my stand is no. Earlier it was yes. When Kailash asked the question, I was with him.
so you
Then in
created a
between, I
tie now.
lost the conversations because of network somewhere in
No,
between.
no, no. We got you. We got you clearly. And so you created that tie
Yeah.
again. It was broken by Ravish and
So for me, I think that if you're taking, if you're reporting it through like, you see, as an average, so
mhm.
that data is also available somewhere. Only then you can put it. You cannot just put your own number, right? So if you're giving the data and stating from where and why you're doing that, that is still accuracy, isn't it? Instead of having nothing, you're still giving an average of the entire nation or whatever that amount you're giving, but through a particular number which is already established. So it's still accurate. It's not wrong, but at least it's complete, isn't it?
At least you are trying to complete it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean.
Understand where you are coming from, and that is what everybody who is saying yes to it, that's what they are justifying. That instead of having a blank report,
Mm.
and you have a very good reason, Kailash, that even emission factors are average, right? Average of world over
Yeah.
data collected. So why
Mhm.
not we should do it upfront itself, take a average data and put it in.
Yeah.
Can be
Yeah.
done. Look, if 80%, 60%, 70% of people are saying that this is the right method, means this is what is happening in the country right now. If you ask me, and I am a researcher, my
Mhm.
finding will be that my hypothesis that currently market is taking on an average data instead of every year even calculating it.
Mhm.
अब आपने पहला साल कैलाश कर लिया कैलकुलेशन राइट से
Mhm.
फर्स्ट ईयर यू वेंट टू ऑल फार्मर डिड द कैलकुलेशन सैट विद देम इन द सन एंड द मून
Mhm.
राइट कलेक्टेड डेटा क्रिएटेड इट
Mhm.
नेक्स्ट ईयर फिर करोगे क्या अरे पिछले साल तो कलेक्ट किया था रमेश का इतना इमिशन था सुरेश का इतना इमिशन था दोनों कैडबरी 5 स्टार खा रहे थे दोनों हैप्पी थे व्हाई आई शुड डू इट अगेन अगेन सेम रीजन कैन कम करेक्ट and this is exactly is happening in market which is 80% of the market go and spread the news that this is not correct कोई स्टैंडर्ड इसको अलाउ ही नहीं करता है इफ यू आर नॉट कैलकुलेटिंग
Mhm.
आप स्टेट कर दो कोई बात नहीं है डिस्क्लेमर इज अ गुड वे आई अग्री रवि कि डिस्क्लेमर डाल सकते हैं कैलाश भी वही बोलना चाह रहे हैं कि इमिशन में भी तो डिस्क्लेमर है अरे इमिशन में डिस्क्लेमर है आफ्टर डूइंग लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च एक रिसर्च से नहीं हो गया है एक आदमी मैं जाके नहीं देखा सुरेश और रमेश दोनों कैडबरी खा रहे थे right? And they were both happy. How many of you remember this advertisement, by the way? I'm recalling this.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
faces like that, right?
Yes,
So
definitely.
Ramesh and
पिताजी
Suresh
के
are
पत्नी.
happy. Why I should be worried? Why I should take a stress again year and go and watch them enjoying their life? And my life is miserable calculating carbon account in sun and moon, right? This is why in market currently 80% of the data is collected is either wrong or assumed to be right. हाँ अब इसका सॉल्यूशन ये है डिस्क्लेम कर दो एंड टुमारो यू विल रीड आर्टिकल ऑन आवर इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग पेज क्या इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग पेज बड़ा हम लोग रिसर्च 20 पेज का जेनसॉल्व पे हमारी टीम ने बनाया है आईएम के ग्रेड्स वगैरह सब जो है सबने मिलके बनाया है दैट इज गोइंग टू गेट पब्लिश यहाँ पे यही हुआ है हर्ड मेंटालिटी की वजह से सबने इन्वेस्ट किया उस स्टॉक में पीएफसी इरिडा जैसी कंपनी ने इन्वेस्ट किया उस स्टॉक में एज्यूमिंग कि पहला वाला किया होगा ड्यू डिलिजेंस आप समझ रहे हो क्या गेम हुआ है जेंसॉल में हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड द amount of mismanagement has gone and that too remember it's not happening first time it is not happening second time it is happening in the age when we had Satyam and we have Sarabhan Oxley from WorldCom coming Indian Company Act 2013 in place. We had Nika, we had Paytm, right? All of those got listed and ruined retail's investor money. And that same time, a company called Gensol gets listed, right? And it is not a small company. It's a massive startup of India. It was a flag bearer. You don't know how big guys those were. अमाउंट आप लोग को छोटा लग रहा है ना 256 करोड़ लोग बोलते हैं राइट Actually, it is not 256 crore which has been mismanaged. It is massive amount of capital erosion has happened. Read that article if you really want to get feeling that how we are derived by herd mentality. Thinking I am right, he is wrong. Forgetting the basic tenets. उसमें ऐसे ऐसे न्यूज हैं कि एक्स बीएससी का चीफ आके बोला कि मैंने बोला था इसका वैल्यूएशन सही नहीं है। अरे जब आपने बोला था वैल्यूएशन सही नहीं है, रिटेल इन्वेस्टर इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है, आप लिस्टेड होने दे रहे हो। लिटिल आई एम लिटिल पैशनेट अबाउट दिस टॉपिक बिकॉज आई वर्क विथ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल इन पास्ट, राइट? So this guy was having a blue smart which was electric vehicle and they were killing it on the market. Nobody was ready to give anybody any other money than this guy because he was able to showcase I am profitable, I am this, I am that, I am creating a new market, right? In India it's not there, clean suit boot. Blue smart, how many of you have used in your life blue smart ka EV for traveling? Shivangi has used.
Just one time.
You have used
one
as
time.
well, right? It was not that costly and you the service they used to give was massive. आधा घंटा पहले वो आदमी आके वेट करता था। मैं तो दिल्ली में जितना दिन रहा, आई हैव यूज्ड देयर सर्विस कंप्लीटली गुरुग्राम जाने के लिए। हाफ एन आवर अर्ली दैट गाय विल पार्क हिज व्हीकल, कॉल मी एंड से दैट आई एम वेटिंग। उबेर में आप देख लो, ओला में आप देख लो, कैंसिल कर देंगे 2 मिनट पहले। Such a massive service organization goes to bust, we should be concerned about it in India. Yeah, and this is happening with the same mentality, herd mentality, right? उसने किया होगा, उसने देखा होगा, मैं भी देख रहा हूं। भूल जाइए प्लीज। हाँ, मालूम है कोई जेल नहीं जाता इंडिया में, किसी को फांसी नहीं लगती है चीटिंग करने की, राइट? ऑल वी नो। बट आपको मालूम है कैपिटल इरोजन कितने अमाउंट का हुआ है? 90% का कैपिटल इरोजन है मार्केट में। 4,300 की कंपनी थी वो जब लिस्ट हुई थी, मार्केट कैप। आज जाके देखो उसका कैपिटल। लोग सोचते हैं कि स्टॉक गिरा, मैंने तो इन्वेस्ट नहीं किया। ब्रदर, मेरा नेवर इज इम्पैक्टेड, व्हाई आई शुड बी वरीड? तो वो नहीं करना चाहिए। आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट अब आपके पास डेटा नहीं तो आप क्या करोगे। सही बात है, आपको पैसे मिले 1 करोड़ करने के लिए जीएसजी अकाउंटिंग, 25,000 में भी कोई कर रहा है। अब आप जाके उसको समझाने बैठोगे जैसे मैं आपको समझा रहा हूं, तो मानेगा क्या हो फार्मर? तो बोलेगा गेट लॉस्ट, आई डोंट केयर व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग, नॉनसेंस। Can be possible. So Kailash, you are not wrong, but don't promote it. That's what I'm saying. Don't push others to also think like that. ठीक है? वो भी जानते हैं उनकी लिमिटेशन, राइट? एनीबडी हु विल प्रैक्टिस टुमारो, दे विल नो देयर लिमिटेशन। क्लाइंट बोलेगा मेरे को 25 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट चाहिए, 25,000 वाला तो मेरे को 60 पेज दे रहा था कॉपी पेस्ट मार के, राइट? किसी का भी सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्ट उठा लो, 60 पेज उसके निकालो, चिपका दो, सब में 0 0 डाल दो। This is what is happening in market, right? So Shivangi tomorrow takes the template which is blank right now, 5 page only, right? Shivangi 7 पेज है और उसको वो भरना चालू कर रही है और स्क्रैच से। कितना बड़ा टफ टास्क वो कर रही है, आप सोचो। और उसके बाद लोग बोलेंगे कि नहीं नहीं आपका तो मेथड ही गलत है, तो आप कहां अपने आप को फील करोगे? सोचोगे उससे अच्छा 25,000 लो, दिमाग की शांति रखो, राइट? सुरेश और रमेश का कहानी याद करो, एंजॉय करो लाइफ।
No, but sir, that's not really ethical, is it?
That is what it is not ethical. That's what I'm telling you, कैलाश। कि अब आप चैलेंज्ड हो तो आप कुछ भी करो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। बोलते हैं ना कि फ्लाइट और फाइट, दिस इज द ओनली मोड होमो सेपियन हैज व्हिच हैज बीन डेवलप्ड फॉर मिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स, राइट? जब से पहला आदमी ढूंढा गया चिंपांजी के फॉर्म में, और टिल टुडे। वेरी गुड बुक इज रिटन बाय नोहाल हरीरी, राइट? रीड दैट बुक। सो हमारे पास दो ही ऑप्शन हमेशा रहता है, फाइट और फ्लाइट। Now you want to do fight or you want to run out is your choice, Kailash. But I will not support it. Okay? And people are doing it. हाँ, अगर कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो, you are in flight mode, then at least write the disclaimer which Ravi says suggesting. Okay? But don't keep your stakeholder in dark that you have done exercise when you have not. Clear? And that is why today people prefer that you don't report all 15 categories. और यू रिपोर्ट इवन स्कोप 3। कितनी कंपनियां कर रही हैं आप देखो स्टैटिस्टिक्स में, सीडीपी का रिपोर्ट आपके सामने है। 56% कंपनी, बीच में 58 एक बार जंप हुआ था, वो भी कोविड के जस्ट पहले। कोविड हुआ उसके बाद सब शांत बैठ गए। स्कोप 1 90% के आसपास चल रहा है। कंपनीज हु आर रिपोर्टिंग सस्टेनेबिलिटी, उसमें जीएचजी बहुत लोग रिपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये भी आपको जानना होगा। आर यू विथ मी? सो दोज आर ऑथेंटिक कंपनी की रिपोर्ट ही नहीं किया भाई, नहीं है मेरे पास डेटा, आई विल नॉट रिपोर्ट, दैट रिपोर्ट गोज ब्लैंक विदाउट जीएचजी रिपोर्ट। कितनी परसेंट कंपनी आप अपने सामने देखो, ये तो मैं वर्ल्ड का डेटा आपके सामने रख रहा हूं, राइट? 6000 कंपनी है, ये 3000 पे सैंपल किया हुआ है। 2010 में 3376 कंपनीज वेर देयर, out of that 936 only reported a scope 3. Now the number has grown up, where out of 6000 3000 are reporting scope 1 2 में। अभी भी 10% कंपनी रिपोर्ट नहीं करती है, अनएक्सेप्टेबल है। ऐसा थोड़ी है कि आपको को गोली मार देगा कि आपने जीएचजी रिपोर्ट नहीं करा, या विवेक सर से बात हो गई थी, आपका डिबेट हो गया था, आधा घंटा उसमें चला गया था, इसके वजह से आप रिपोर्ट नहीं करोगे, राइट? दैट वोंट बी द केस। At least you will be confident what you are doing is right or wrong, and at least you will put a disclaimer. And why I mentioned about Gensol, because all this FDD guys, the guys, there is a huge payment you make when you do the investment. Do you know that? If you are an investor and you are investing in any company, हम लोग रिटेल वाले इसलिए कोई रिसर्च नहीं करता है, लेकिन जब एक इन्वेस्टर, इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर इन्वेस्ट करता है तो मैसिव ड्यू डिलिजेंस रिपोर्ट बनती है। वो रिपोर्ट कहाँ है, लोग नहीं मांग रहे आज के डेट में। ये हमारा रिपोर्ट कल जा रहा है, उसमें हमने लिख के डाला है। क्यों? क्योंकि वो बिग फोर है ना, उसने जो लिख दिया मान लो। अब वो बिग फोर ने क्या किया होगा, पिछले बिग फोर का डेटा लिया होगा, उसका पिछला वाला पिछले ने लिया होगा, हो सकता है वो मिस्टर जग्गी भाई के दोस्त होंगे। यू नेवर नो, राइट? गुरुग्राम में बड़ा ऑफिस है एयरपोर्ट के पास ईवाई का, right? So my challenge is this to the fraternity: don't go into herd mentality, right? Do your own diligences and then do the effort. Don't rely somebody else has done your work, and they will never go to jail. Have you heard ever time पीडब्ल्यूसी को बैन किया गया? क्या चाहिए उसका पार्टनर सत्यम कंप्यूटर्स में पीडब्ल्यूसी वाले स्क्वाड, राइट? कि इन्होंने ऑडिट ही नहीं करा है, 8 साल ऑडिट नहीं करा है, 1 साल की बात नहीं, 8 साल नहीं करा है। एक ही पार्टनर थोड़ी कंपनी में रहता है, वो थे अलग बात है, लेकिन जो भी नया पर्सन आया होगा वो तो विसल ब्लोअर बन सकता था ना। दूसरा केस आपको बताता हूं, डू यू नो दिस गाय बाइजूस? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव हर्ड अबाउट बाइजूस? यू नो
I've
व्हाट?
heard about him, and I did not like his strategy from the start. I don't know why.
Yeah, that is true, ethically they are wrong, but you take the last part of it, the current one which is ongoing, which Baiju is claiming.
He's bankrupt, he's saying.
No, तो आपको न्यूज़ नहीं मालूम है। He is saying there was people behind his company to bring it down. How many of you are aware about it? रवि, आप तो बैंगलोर में हो, आपने सुना है क्या?
नहीं, आपने आई थिंक इन द लास्ट क्लास आल्सो यू मेंशन
हाँ,
दिस।
ESG वाले में मेंशन किया है उन्होंने, क्लियर कट स्क्वायर किया है कि ENY का एक पार्टनर और ये इंटरनेशनल कंपनी जो फाइट कर रही है वहां के कोर्ट में, दोनों का कहूट पे इनको ब्रॉट डाउन किया गया है पर्पसफुली।
शायद उसका ब्रदर इन लॉ भी आपने बोला कि
Brother in law, so of course, brother-in-law was the mistake, right? He was not controlling it. He was a partner, but he was not making anything impactful. He was trying to make some quick buck, possibly. So there is a mistake both sides, but there is a case that these consultancy firm does their work with a disclaimer, which our team members are also suggesting, and that way you can come out of it. Second part, you see in the upstream or downstream, which are reported most, and you will find most of the time upstream remains the focus. क्यों होता है आप समझिए मेरी बात। जब आप लाइफ साइकिल असेसमेंट करते हो LCA, फोकस रिमेन विथ हु इज योर सप्लायर फ्रॉम रॉ मटेरियल साइड, and you remain focused there. Second, customer is very difficult to control. Why?
Yeah.
Because customer is king. If you will try to control him, he will slap you and run away from you. है कि नहीं है?
Yeah.
सप्लायर को तो आप फिर भी डिक्टेट कर सकते हो कि भाई मेरे को ऐसा ही मटेरियल चाहिए, तुम अगर रिपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे हो स्कोप 1 तो आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक मटेरियल। यू कैन डू इट। कैन यू डू दिस टू योर कस्टमर? सर्विस कंपनी हो, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो, एनी काइंड ऑफ कंपनी हो, कैन यू डू दैट? Impossible, right? And that is why you will see hardly any are reported in downstream. Again, CDP data. Clear? And that is why we as a individual carbon accountant people should be cognizant and diligent about each of the categories. Clear? Let's read those categories and what it means quickly.
So bottom line is no need to take average and not upload, just don't upload the data and just say that it is not available.
फिर से मेरे को क्विज रन करना होगा जो डॉक्टर मेघा के साथ मैंने रन किया।
So this is the bottom line, right? That's
This
the
is
best way
not,
to do it.
this, no, there is no bottom line. That's the point right now in
So
India.
if I want to do for my company, I can do that, take average and do it.
If your company allows you, why you will not do? They will give you a
Okay.
template of disclaimer, add that and get rid of it. That's what everybody is doing.
Okay.
But if you
Yeah.
are doing your own self, don't take that responsibility. Tell upfront that I have assumed certain data. Tell
Okay.
upfront this data is dicey. Tell
Okay.
upfront that out of 5 principle, 1 principle is challenging for me because of the reason 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, still your stakeholder is happy. Your board of directors is not calling you for the meeting. You are good to go. If they calls you, then you respond to them and find out a way. They will suggest you the way. It is their responsibility, not yours. करेक्ट इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है यही ना कि मैं गलती कर रहा हूं तो करेक्ट करो मेरे को and thereby these 8 are critical here. Which are those? Purchase of goods and service, which means emission coming from the production of good and service which you are purchasing from the company, mostly the raw material. Second, capital goods. So any infrastructure which I am setting or maintenance equipment which I am buying, for example tools, etc. If I am buying, those stuffs becomes a critical arrangement for me. Clear? Third is fuel and energy related activities. Okay. Third is fuel and related energy activity. What are these fuel? Till to your premises, if there is extraction of fuel is happening, you are imagine you are a thermal power plant. आपको coal तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, right? So there is a mining of coal is happening, which will be covered into purchase good and service. My processing unit of that coal, which is sitting in your thermal power plant, is your capital goods. But still, to bring that coal to your site, you will require some energy and fuel to be spent on, right? Even for processing that coal, you need electricity or maybe an additional coal to burn and change their, formulation. All that fuel and energy related to production must to bring to the production, which will be part of scope 1 or 2, electricity for that purpose, etc. All that will be recorded by you under category 3 of scope 3. Scope 3 में fourth category है upstream transportation. So if you are using trucks, trippers to load those coal blocks and bring it to your premise, that fuel burnt in that transportation will be your transportation and distribution upstream purchase product. Clear? Upstream याद रखिएगा here, क्योंकि downstream में भी same चीज है. Then comes waste generated from operation is not a downstream stuff. Few people can get confused because it's after process has started, then only waste come, right? However, in most of the cases, even waste comes before process starts. For example, I have already told you, motherboard हमने buy किया, 1 million motherboards आया, उसमें से 6 of those were faulty. I cannot use them. Where I will account? I will account into waste generated in operation. Then comes business travel. So emission from travel undertaken by business purposes will be coming here. Employee community is those employees who are taking public, private, or their own, means private is their own, commute services to reach to your premise is employee commute emissions. 8th, last but not least, in upstream is upstream lease asset. And lease asset has a tricky business, always remember. Okay, what is that tricky business? Because there is a financial lease and there is operational lease. Only finance people understand. That's why I don't delve on it. Okay, but Ravi, you know, right? Financial lease had different characteristics than the operational lease. Accounting itself is challenging for both. Correct? So if I will start explaining you the upstream, downstream, it will be challenging. In free time, if you have some company who is concerned about it, I'm happy to help you. But upstream lease assets are warehouse. Just for example, warehouses where you bring and stock your raw material. You need a shed, right? And in that shed, whatever emission is happening, be it a scope 1 or 2 emission, all will be counted by you as a scope 3 emission. What will be a scope 2 emission? The lighting, fan, AC. If it is a freezer, then you have a cooling as well, right? A lot of things people do. Yes, Kailash, go ahead.
Oh no, you can finish. I just want to know. So example of capital goods will be like the raw materials, right?
What?
Example of capital goods will be like raw materials.
No,
What
no, no,
else?
no, no. Don't get confused.
No, machinery.
रवि बताइए इनको प्लीज.
No, it's with regard to the machinery and other things that you buy to
To
start making your
process, to process the
process.
to process the raw material. Okay. विच इज योर, अगर आप देखे होगे थर्मल पावर प्लांट में बड़ी बड़ी चिमनियां होती हैं, उसके अंदर बहुत मशीनरी होती है, वो सारे मशीनरीज आर कैपिटल गुड्स. नाउ व्हेन आई कम टू डाउनस्ट्रीम साइड, इट स्टार्ट्स विद डाउनस्ट्रीम ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. नंबर 9 इज डाउनस्ट्रीम transportation. Okay, which is what, that your finished products which are packed, wrapped, etc., need to be now sent to your distributor, dealer, wholesaler, etc. That transportation is part of downstream. Processing of sold product, I have already given enough discussion on it. That patties in McDonald's, whoever manufactures it, his emission will be processing of sold product emission for you. Then comes the use of sold product. Use of sold product, how people are using it. For example, shampoo bottle Unilever ka, we have already shown you the case study. And then comes end of life treatment of the sold product. So where that plastic bottle goes, the shampoo bottles, after you process it, is a very important factor for Unilever under scope 3, 12th number. 13 number talks about downstream lease asset, which is emission from lease asset in downstream category. Same like upstream warehouse, you will have distributors warehouse as well, right? If you own them, then there is no discussion. It is your own emission. But if they own it and you keep your stuff there, then it is your downstream lease assets. Then comes franchisee and investment. Franchisee, as we have discussed, NIT, right? What you control is operational control or financial control. And there is a thin line between those two, correct? So how he is operating, you are concerned if through operation control, then of course, it will be a challenge for you. And that has to be recorded. Their emission has to be recorded as a part of franchisee. And the last one is investments. If you are doing investment in other companies, then also that investment emissions are your concern. Clear? This is the upstream and downstream. Now, what we will do, we will quickly learn the formula which goes inside it. But before we go there, you need to know how to screen them. Category, मैंने बोला ना आपको category करना आना चाहिए, right? Okay, Kailash, ask.
I mean, this is maybe a little silly question, but it's been bothering me
No,
for
no,
a
no,
while.
it's okay.
It's like in terms of food,
Right.
like so the use of sold products, it's like you're consuming it, is it? So
Use of sold product.
If it's food items,
right?
so if you're eating, so if once you're consuming it, so,
Right.
so till where do you consider the emissions?
Till the time you are
I
using
mean,
it. जब तक उसको आप थ्रो नहीं कर रहे हो, आप किसकी बात कर रहे हो? 12 नंबर कैटेगरी की या 11 नंबर कैटेगरी की? लेट्स बी क्लियर ऑन दैट. आर यू टॉकिंग अबाउट 12
let's go
एंड
back
ऑफ
to the
लाइफ
other one.
और यूज ऑफ सोल्ड प्रोडक्ट? कौन से पे हो आप? ये पहले डिसाइड कर लो.
Let's talk about McDonald's का बर्गर पैटी जो भी है उसकी
हाँ,
बात करते हैं.
हाँ.
So उसमें end of life के लिए what is it? I mean you've
End
eaten
of
it and
life
done.
end of life is, I will tell you, end of life is very similar.
No, because
सर
technically
आपने
if you consider if you can eat it and then you're probably going to pass gas. So is that also counted?
What is that, Kailash? That is
I don't know. I was just thinking about it because technically that's if livestock के लिए मीथेन हो सकता है, तो हमारा भी तो होता है.
नहीं तो आपका मीथेन थोड़ी होता है यार, क्या बात?
Of course, sir. Flatulence में होता है.
Okay, I don't know then. I'm not educated on that part. कि we also emit methane. But okay, चलिए आप.
It's very little, but it's there.
Right, so that will be use of sold product then.
So do you
If
consider
you are
that?
emitting methane, then that will be use of sold product.
But how do we calculate that? How do we get that information?
Of course, you have to calculate. You have to calculate. If you know pathogen में होता है तो कितना आ रहा है वो मालूम चलेगा ना आपको.
Oh, okay.
कितना
That detail.
खाया,
Okay.
और उसका कितना एमिशन निकला, आप कैलकुलेट
Okay.
करोगे, रिसर्च होगा, उस रिसर्च का डेटा मिलेगा आपको, वो आप इंक्लूड करोगे,
And
राइट?
Kailash would be given a some Nobel Prize because he did all this.
Yeah. No, so I guess for now it's like
He,
data
he
not
went
available
till
with a
that depth.
disclaimer.
बाकी डेटा नहीं आ रहा है, but he could get into that depth.
Then it's not a silly question, by the way, Kailash. It's good to debate and brood upon.
Yeah,
And
I've been thinking about it for many days. I just thought let me just
सही है,
check, ask with you when to
करेक्ट
do
है,
this.
नहीं करेक्ट।
So
आपको
for
वो
now
देखना
it's
चाहिए,
yeah, sorry.
आपको देखना चाहिए कि यूज ऑफ सोल्ड प्रोडक्ट कौन सा है और एंड ऑफ लाइफ कौन सा है। एंड ऑफ लाइफ वो हड्डी जो बचा ना, वो एंड ऑफ लाइफ हो गया। अगर केएफसी में आप खा रहे हो और आपने
Okay.
लेग पीस लिया हुआ है, तो जो उसका
Hmm.
बोन है दैट विल बिकम एंड ऑफ लाइफ। कि वो कहाँ जा रहा है, उसको रिसाइकिल
Okay.
किया जा रहा है, उसका मेडिसिन बन रहा है क्या, राइट?
So
दैट
अगर
इज
मैं
एंड ऑफ।
कुत्ते को खिला दिया तो it's like recycled or whatever, reused.
नहीं, रिसाइकिल कैसे हुआ? कुत्ते को खिलाया तो वो फिर
नहीं
उसका
मतलब reuse.
उसका इमिशन देखो, वो मीथेन निकाल रहा
Exactly. Then it goes to livestock. Now, जो भी then respects. Then that also comes in the picture again.
है,
That's
राइट?
what I was asking.
No, no, good.
I'm sorry, but
No, no, why you should be sorry? I always allowed you. You can ask any
no,
question.
I mean it may just sound stupid or something, but I was
नहीं, sound is
very
stupid,
wondering.
but question is perfect. Even World Research Institute, Resource Institute is working on this, right? That's why they have produced a data that average number of scope 3 categories reported currently on an average नहीं कर पाते हैं लोग। आप बोल रहे हो कि मेरे को एंड ऑफ लाइफ कैलकुलेट करना है, लोग नहीं करते हैं। आप देखो ना, आप वर्ल्ड रिसोर्स का ही डेटा देखो ना, कितने दिया है उसने, सेंटर वाला मैक्सिमम कितना हुआ है 2008 में। 2018 में हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव डन 8 कैटेगरी आउट ऑफ 15। आर यू विथ मी? एंड दिस इज
Yeah.
जीएचजी प्रोटोकॉल के लोग आपको प्रोड्यूस करके दे रहे हैं डेटा। तो इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी एंड मैंडेटरी कि आप ये सब कैलकुलेट करते बैठो, बट गुड क्वेश्चन टू आस्क, ओके? बट यू हैव अ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी टुडे, कैलाश, कि आप कुछ चीजों को इग्नोर कर सकते हो और रिपोर्ट कर सकते हो, स्टिल यू विल बी काउंटेड एज यू हैव डन द स्कोप 3 इमिशन, एंड हियर इज दैट प्रूफ ऑफ कंसेप्ट। देन
So I can do that in GHG and not ISO 64.
सब
No
कर सकते हो
1464.
ना जी। अब फिर देखो, आप मिक्स नहीं करो। आईएसओ में स्ट्रिक्टनेस है फॉर
हाँ.
सर्टिफिकेशन लेने के लिए। उसमें ये थोड़ी बोला है कि स्कोप 3 में कितने एमिशन आपको कैलकुलेट करने हैं या नहीं करने।
अच्छा. Okay. Okay.
कैसे करना
Yeah.
है वो प्रोसेस वो लोग कंट्रोल करते हैं। जो भी आईएसओ पहले कर चुके हैं, दे नो व्हाट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट। प्रोसेस इज इंपॉर्टेंट
Okay.
फॉर देम, कि आपने फॉलो करा क्या,
Hmm.
स्टेप बाय स्टेप रिकॉर्ड करा क्या डेटा,
Okay.
वो पूछेंगे। वहां
Okay.
पे भी आप डिस्क्लेमर डाल सकते हो कि नहीं करा भाई, right? So they will not certify, but not for the scope calculations. They will not certify if you have not followed the process which has been listed in ISO 14064 1 or 2. Now, if you want to do the screening to identify the
Sir,
result,
I have a question as well.
please go ahead, Shivangi.
Sir, जैसे investment was also a topic, right?
Correct,
For calculating scope 3 emission.
right?
So, is it calculated with reference to or like the percent of amount that we have invested in a particular company?
करेक्ट। और इन्वेस्टमेंट का मतलब एक बात समझ लीजिएगा, फाइनेंस वाले लोगों को मालूम है, एक सब्सिडरी होता है और एक इन्वेस्टमेंट होता है। सब्सिडरी विल बी ओनली व्हेन यू हैव ओन दैट कंपनी बाय मोर देन 51%। वो आपकी सब्सिडरी हो सकती है। जनरली 50-55 के आसपास तक लोग ज्वाइंट वेंचर लेते हैं, राइट? सो यू विल बी वट एवर परसेंटेज यू ओन, ऑन दैट परसेंटेज यू विल रिकॉर्ड। बट आप जो पूछ रहे हो, इन्वेस्टमेंट अंडर स्कोप 3 पूछ रहे हो, इजंट इट?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
स्कोप 3 में इन्वेस्टमेंट जो है वो अप टू 20% होता है। आप समझो
Okay.
इस बात, ओके? तो आप उस कंपनी को ओन ही नहीं करते हो, आप इन्वेस्टर हो शिवांगी, एंड यू हैव इन्वेस्टेड इन स्टॉक मार्केट। एक शेयर आप ओन करते हो, हु केयर्स अबाउट यू? दे विल नॉट गिव यू डेटा इवन। हेलो,
Okay.
यस? सो आप समझ गए ना? लेस देन 20% विल कम एज ए पार्ट ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट, एंड देयर बाय यू डोंट कंट्रोल दैट एक्टिविटी। Please understand. That's why it is very difficult to report. क्योंकि हो सकता है वो
Okay.
कंपनी रिपोर्ट ही नहीं कर रही हो, कुछ भी नहीं रिपोर्ट कर रही हो, तो क्या आप रिपोर्ट करोगे उसके बारे में?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she means is that so if they're reporting, so you mention the numbers as per your percentage of investment, or how does it go? Isn't that right?
Is this your
Yes,
question? Okay.
yes, that's what I was
Percentage of
asking.
investment. Very simple. Percentage of investment.
Okay, okay.
Of their total emissions, right?
Absolutely. Whatever emission they have done.
Okay.
Scope 1 and 2 only, not total.
Oh, only scope 1 and 2.
मतलब don't confuse it. Scope 1 and 2 ही, look, scope 3 for you is scope 1 and 2 for somebody else.
Yeah.
ये concept
Yes,
clear है ना सबको?
yes, yes.
हाँ, तो इतना clear रखोगे तो challenge नहीं आएगा. ठीक? Okay, now you want to select which category to. Yes, Ravish, go ahead.
Sir, suppose we purchase one equipment for maintenance under capital, this one.
Yes,
So-
under maintenance, correct?
Under
Capital
maintenance.
आएगा,
So वो जो right from the जो उस equipment का construction के लिए raw material से लेकर के A to Z we have to consider, or how it would be?
No, you have to ask the question once more, Ravish.
जो equipment हम I am taking as a capital this one, sir.
हाँ,
तो वो उस इक्विपमेंट के कंस्ट्रक्शन में जितना भी कार्बन फुटप्रिंट
Correct.
होगा, that everything I have to consider right from
Absolutely.
the extraction of
Scope
raw
one.
material.
Scope 1 of that screwdriver company will be scope 3 for you. वो
Right,
जो
sir.
कैलकुलेट कर रहा है वो आपका स्कोप 3 हो जाएगा.
As it is मेरे को पास ऑन हो
अरे
जाएगा
मतलब
including transportation.
Absolutely, including transportation. अब ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में यू कैन प्ले दैट गेम. अप स्ट्रीम का ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में आप अकाउंट कर सकते हो, बट आपको जो स्क्रू ड्राइवर मिल रहा है बगल वाली शॉप में आपको डिलीवर होके, तो उसमें तो सारा कॉस्ट इनबिल्ट है ना. तो आई डोंट केयर कि वो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कंसिडर किया है कि नहीं. उसने अगर स्कोप 1 and 2 रिपोर्ट करा है, दैट स्कोप 1 and 2 फॉर दैट स्क्रू ड्राइवर एज ए प्रोडक्ट, CAP will be my scope 3. Absolutely. Any other question, anyone?
I have got a little confused. Maybe somewhere I missed something.
बोलिए डॉक्टर.
If scope 1 of something is my scope 3,
Hmm.
agreed. Is it not double? 2 times we are accounting for overall carbon emission
नहीं,
in
आप
the
कंफ्यूज
cost.
नहीं हो. ये नॉर्मल कंफ्यूजन है, सबको होगा. आप पूछो, अभी सारे क्लास में बोलेंगे यस आई हैव द सेम प्रॉब्लम. पाला, do you understood what Dr. Megha is asking?
Yes, sir. I mean,
He's saying कि are we double counting?
yes. No,
Right? But question is right? The confusion can happen. That
very right, very good.
question is right.
Question is, Somnath is very good, right? So no question in my forum is bad, good or ugly. Okay, all questions are welcome. हाँ, थोड़ा सा मैं रश में रहता हूँ तो I will feel, so don't go by my face. Okay, you ask your question. So question is perfect, doctor. Confusion is obvious, but it is not double counting. Now let's put our mind why it is not double counting. आप लगाइए, आप ही लगाओ. Dr. Megha, why this is not double counting? Why it is not double counting? ये बताइए मुझे.
Reporting boundary is different.
Boundary is
For the
different,
company.
absolutely. But your scope 1 emission is my scope 3 emission. It doesn't matter कि उसका emission मेरा emission क्यों हो रहा है. आपका प्रॉब्लम ही है ना. तो यहाँ पे दो आपको फंडामेंटल देता हूँ, and you are economics one, so I got a very nice one for you, doctor. Doctor is an economist, okay, PhD holder. GVA आपने सुना है, डॉक्टर?
There it is understood. I wanted to tell you that GVA concept is known.
सेम
Here I am unable to understand how it is applied.
सेम कंसेप्ट यहाँ पे अप्लाई करोगे आप. क्यों, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. मैंने आपसे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई वॉन्ट अ माउस, आई एम परचेजिंग अ माउस. नाउ बैटरी इन दिस इज somebody else is producing.
Right.
For him it is scope 1 emission because he produced the battery. For me it is scope 3 emission. Why scope 3 and why I should also account and he should also account is the reason he's preparing this for me. He's preparing this for me, right? Is this battery somebody else is going to use? No, it is my uses purpose. Without this, will this mouse work? काम ही नहीं करेगा ना. तो इसमें इमिशन होगा ही नहीं. इसमें इमिशन 0 हो जाएगा माउस में, अगर मैं बैटरी नहीं डाल रहा हूं तो और बैटरी मेरे लिए बनाई गई है, राइट? तो आई शुड टेक अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इट ऑन इट, इवन दो माई बाउंड्रीज आर सेपरेट।
नहीं नहीं, आई एम स्टिल कंफ्यूज। एमसीए में हम सब अपना जीबीए रिपोर्ट करते हैं,
हाँ, तो वो सिमिलर कंसेप्ट रहता है
तो
ना,
उसमें तो इनपुट माइनस कर दिया होता है ना हमने।
इनपुट माइनस किया होता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे आप बताइए इनपुट और आउटपुट है क्या? एंड ऑफ द डे यू आर जस्ट अ वैल्यू एडर. That guy has prepared this as a value add. He also must have bought from some other mines, जिलेटिन का लाइन, कार्बन, जो भी उसमें चीजें जाती हो बैटरी में, वो सारा वो दूसरे से लेके आ रहा है, करेक्ट? वो लोग का ही मिशन है, इसका ही मिशन तो केवल उसका असेंबली है, राइट?
हाँ
मैंने
जी।
बैटरी को बाय द वे कवर किया था लास्ट सेशन में कि बैटरी में, बैटरी पैक इन ईवी फैक्ट्री इज सेल प्लस अ पैकिंग विथ अ बीएमएस. सिमिलर जो मैंने काम करा उसका इमिशन मेरे को अकाउंट होने वाला है एंड ऑफ द डे, जब सब कुछ कंबाइंड होगा ना. आप, मैं समझ रहा हूं आप कहां से पूछ रहे हो कि जब हम लोग रिपोर्ट करते होंगे पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में अंडर दैट एनडीसी,
हाँ,
आई एम आई डूइंग डबल? देयर यू आर आस्किंग योर
yes,
क्वेश्चन.
I'm asking that only कि from
तो
the
इसीलिए मैं
country's
बता रहा हूँ.
perspective we are doing it double.
नो, इन दैट परस्पेक्टिव वी आर नॉट डूइंग इट डबल. क्यों? क्योंकि जो आदमी ने बैटरी बनाया ना, वो भी डिस्काउंट करेगा माइनिंग का इमिशन. जब वो ऐड होना होगा ना टॉप में, सबका अमाउंट पे ऐड होता है, जैसे हम लोग जीवीए में करते हैं. या बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज वैट टैक्स, एड वॉलरम टैक्स जो लगती है, वो हमारे एफर्ट पे लगती है, राइट? हम लेते पैसा पूरा है. आप जीएसटी, किसी ने भी अगर जीएसटी भरा हो तो मालूम होगा, आप जीएसटी तो पूरा कलेक्ट करते हो ना, और फिर पास ऑन कर देते हो कि भैया मैंने लिया कस्टमर से 18%, बट मेरे को 18% मेरा सब कंसल्टेंट ने चार्ज किया, तो मेरा जो डिफरेंस उतना ही मैं पे करूंगा. रेस्ट ऑफ इट ही विल बी पेइंग, आई एम पुटिंग अ इनपुट कॉस्ट. सिमिलर इन कार्बन अकाउंटिंग, व्हेन द टोटल हैपेंस एट एनडीसी लेवल हैपेंस द सेम वे. वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन बाय द वे.
नहीं तो फिर हम क्या, तब तो स्कोप 3 डिस्काउंट में जाना चाहिए ना, मतलब कि
आपके देखिए, आप फिर आप कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो. आपकी वजह से उसने प्रोड्यूस किया ना. मेरा प्रॉब्लम कहाँ है कि हमको ये समझना होगा कि दिस बैटरी इज मेड फॉर मी. अगर ये मैं पास ऑन कर रहा हूं, जैसे वो होलसेल वाला कैलाश ने क्वेश्चन रखा था, एक्चुअली वो भी क्वेश्चन अगर इलोंगेट किया जाए तो काफी अच्छा क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. ही इज द ओनली होलसेलर. वो बाई कर रहा है फार्मर से और बेच दे रहा है यूएस की कंपनी को, जो लोग खा रहे हैं. वाई ही शुड टेक अ कार्बन का इमिशन? ही इज नॉट डूइंग एनी इमिशन. फार्मर ने इमिशन किया, वो तो केवल लेके आया, प्रोसेस किया नहीं किया, पकड़ा दिया दूसरे को.
agree.
Why he should be responsible for the carbon emission? But he is responsible in a way that people will know at this point in time in value chain who is responsible and what is his carbon emission. पहला तो मैचिंग इजी होगा. इसीलिए जीएसटी ये नहीं कभी गवर्नमेंट बोलती है कि आप अपना ही भरो, वो बोलती है पूरा भरो, बाद में मेरे को इनपुट कॉस्ट दे दो. करती है कि नहीं करती है? अगर जीएसटी
Right.
किसी ने भरा है तो मालूम होगा उसको. कभी नहीं बोलेगी कि आप केवल अपना ही 10% भरो, इवन दो यू विल बी रियली ट्रबल्ड, बिकॉज सामने वाली पार्टी का क्रेडिट 1 महीने के बाद आता है. जिसको आपने दिया है ना, उसका बाद में फाइलिंग होती है, राइट? सो ही इज इन चैलेंज, कैश फ्लो चैलेंज, कि बॉस मैंने कमाया नहीं उससे ज्यादा तो टैक्स भरा है. फिर भी करना होता है क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट डजंट वांट टू टेक दैट हेडेक कि कौन आदमी इसमें भर रहा है, कौन आदमी नहीं भर रहा है. इसलिए वैल्यू चेन को रिपोर्टिंग में लाना इज मैंडेटरी. दैट्स व्हाई पीपल आर प्रिपेयरिंग देमसेल्फ एज ए कार्बन अकाउंटेंट. क्यों? क्योंकि मैसिव काम आने वाला है. रीजन इज, जिस दिन गवर्नमेंट ने बोला कि एनफ इज एनफ, सारे वैल्यू चेन वाले रिपोर्ट करना चालू करो. आप देखना, हर एक कंपनी के पास मिनिमम 1000 कंपनीज होती है सपोर्ट में. ईच कंपनीज लार्ज है तो 10,000 होती है. जस्ट एड इवन 1000 कंपनी विल स्टार्ट रिपोर्टिंग, 1000 इंटू 1000 विल स्टार्ट रिपोर्टिंग. हाउ मच वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट? 1 लाख कंपनी तो ऐसे ही हो जानी है. उतने तो बंदे नहीं है कंपनी में, करेक्ट? सो यही चैलेंज को हम लोग को एड्रेस करना है एज ग्रास रूट लेवल. बट यही प्रॉब्लम ये रहता है कि गले में घंटी कौन बांधेगा, कौन पैसा इन्वेस्ट करके पढ़ाई करेगा और रेडी रहेगा कि भाई मैं उसको यूज करूं. कैलाश, अब थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ते हैं, फिर मैं आपका क्वेश्चन ले लूंगा, डिबेट करेंगे, डोंट वरी.
नहीं नहीं सर, एक्चुअली इसमें द सेम थिंग. आई जस्ट वांट टू गेट इट एक्सप्लेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ नंबर्स, right? I understand what you mentioned about even the scope 1, scope 3, but now in terms of numbers, like say if I'm producing that battery, तो मैंने स्कोप 1 का मैंने 50 का एमिशन है, जैसे एग्जांपल 50 का एमिशन है जो मेरे टोटल में आ गया, राइट? तो अभी अगर मैं स्कोप 3 का कर रहा हूँ दूसरा स्कोप 3, तो मेरा वो वैल्यू 50 रहेगा ना? तो
क्या
मेरे टोटल में भी 50 आएगा ना वो।
क्या
नहीं,
50 आया
ज्यादा
आपका
आएगा। को वेट कर।
यही कंफ्यूजन बता रही है ना कि आपका रिपोर्टिंग कितना हुआ मालूम है आपको? 10 आपका खुद का इमिशन और 60 आपका 90 आपके स्कोप 3 इमिशन।
नहीं
कितना
नहीं,
हुआ
I'm just
टोटल?
I'm just
100।
saying।
नो कैलाश, एक मिनट,
हाँ।
कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा सारा आदमी।
हम्म,
आपका है 10
हम्म,
स्कोप 1,
हम्म,
आपका 90 आया कहाँ से? स्कोप 3, जो आपका
ठीक।
इमिशन है ही नहीं। यही तो
हम्म।
डॉक्टर मेघा भी बात कर रही थी कि वो तो इमिशन ही नहीं है मेरा, मैं क्यों रिपोर्ट करूं?
नहीं नहीं, वो वैसा
जब
नहीं। आई अंडरस्टैंड दैट यू टू रिपोर्ट। आई एम जस्ट
हाँ
सेइंग लाइक से if it's my scope 1, if I'm producing the battery, तो
हाँ
वो बैटरी के प्रोडक्शन का मेरा एमिशन 50 है, राइट?
90 रखो ना, लेट्स से।
ओके 90 है,
हाँ
ठीक है।
हाँ
तो नाउ that scope 1 is somebody else's scope 3, right?
करेक्ट, माइन इज
So that scope 3 remains 90 for
करेक्ट
the battery,
करेक्ट
राइट
करेक्ट।
राइट।
तो same 90 is getting reported two times, no? Like टोटल वाले में तो 90 दोनों जगह से कॉन्सेप्ट होगा
अरे
ना।
भाई वही तो होता है ना फंडामेंटल जीवीए में, फिर आप उसको
हम्म,
डिस्काउंट कर देते हो, भैया ये वैल्यू चेन वाला है। आप बात समझे नहीं फिर से कैलाश,
हम्म,
बहुत सिंपल है। जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड जीएसटी, इसीलिए मैंने दो एग्जांपल दिया, जीवीए भी दिया
हम्म,
एंड जीएसटी भी दिया। आप बताओ कब कंट्री वाइड में रिपोर्ट ऐसा हुआ है कि दो दो जीएसटी को ऐड कर दिया, जबकि दोनों ने फुल भरा हुआ रहता है। कुछ लोग तो एनुअल करते हैं, राइट,
हम्म।
और दोनों फुल भर के बैठे रहते हैं। अब इससे सिंपलर कोई एग्जांपल मुझे
जैसे
ढूंढना
एक
होगा।
एक
I
क्वेश्चन
think
और पूछना है मुझे।
हाँ,
इंडिया के बिहाफ पे कौन है रिपोर्टिंग अथॉरिटी?
मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट,
फॉर एनवायरमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट
Yeah,
वाला।
करेक्ट, MOEFE।
So
I
it
think it will
does
be
this
sorry.
backward thing कि minus does it do मतलब I'm confused. मतलब वो करती है
Good
ये आपके
question.
हिसाब से?
It's a good question to ask them as well, right? Because the way I'm seeing people are reacting to simple questions, maybe they also will be doing some mistakes. So you and me should go them and educate. उनका ट्रेनिंग लेना चाहिए अगर वो ऐसे मिस्टेक्स कर रहे होंगे तो। डाउटफुल है क्योंकि ये बहुत क्लियर है टॉप लेवल पे, टॉप लेवल पे
So
बहुत क्लियर है।
I would just understand if you can just give an example of double counting, that will make it easier.
अभी दूंगा ना तो और कंफ्यूजन बढ़ेगा, अभी तो उसको मैं
ठीक है,
छूऊंगा।
बाद
हाँ
में
बाद
चलेगा,
में
बट
वो,
आई वुड
क्योंकि
लाइक
वो
टू
कंप्लीट
नो
एक
द आंसर।
डिफरेंट डिस्कशन है। स्कोप 3
हाँ।
का डबल काउंटिंग इज कंप्लीट, एक सेशन करना चाहिए उस पे, तो आपको समझ में आएगा ये डबल
ओ।
काउंटिंग। लेकिन पहला और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात, आप पहले जान लो कि आपको रिपोर्ट करना भी है कि नहीं। आर यू विथ मी? आपने, आपके पास है 15 कैटेगरी, but is your industry reporting all 15 category? That's what you should find it out, Kailash. That's your first responsibility rather than being diligent and reporting all 15. पहले तो यहां से चालू करो। दूसरी बात, कंसेप्ट वाइज डिड यू अंडरस्टूड और नॉट? आप भूल जाओ कि मेरा स्कोप 3 उसका स्कोप 1 है। ये डॉक्टर मेगा इज टॉकिंग लिटिल लार्जर टर्म। As a corporate, you will never think like that. Why? Because you have a onus to report a scope 3 if you want to write.
Yeah, that I understand. I agree with that. Is true. It was just the calculation, the number part of it. So that's what.
सो नंबर पार्ट में बताया ना मैंने कि आपका और
हाँ,
उसका दोनों का 90 रिपोर्ट होने वाला है। आपके
हाँ,
3 में होगा, उसके 1 में होगा। जब
हाँ,
ऊपर के लोग उसको मर्ज करेंगे, जिनको इसका कंसर्न है कि कंट्री में डबल काउंटिंग तो नहीं हो रहा, आपका तो वो
हाँ.
प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है ना। इज इट योर
Mhm.
प्रॉब्लम? टेल मी, कंपनी हैज एनी प्रॉब्लम कि
No, no, no.
उसने
So,
कितना?
so basically, it will just be considered separately, which is all I need.
नहीं नहीं, डिस्कस इट सेपरेटली का सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता ना, क्योंकि वो एडिशनल एक पूरा सेशन जाएगा। और रीजन क्या है कि आप तो पहले कर ही नहीं रहे हो। आप ये जो
Mhm.
डॉक्टर मेघा अभी डिस्कशन लाई है, वो लाई है कि गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी को ये कंसर्न हो सकता है। आपको
Okay.
किस बात का कंसर्न है, आप मुझे समझाओ ना। डबल
नहीं.
काउंटिंग किस बात का कंसर्न है? ये कोई डबल काउंटिंग थोड़ी है। डबल काउंटिंग बाय द वे डिस्कशन ही नहीं है। डबल काउंटिंग है कि आपका एक सप्लायर का बाउंड्री वर्सेस दूसरे सप्लायर का बाउंड्री, ये स्कोप 3 में डबल काउंटिंग का इशू है। क्योंकि सेम आपके दो सप्लायर सेम बाउंड्री में काम कर रहे हो सकते हैं। आप बात समझ रहे हो?
Mhm.
देन डबल काउंटिंग हैपेंस। आपके लिए कोई अगर स्कोप 1 काउंट कर रहा है, तो वो स्कोप 1 रिपोर्ट कर रहा है ना गवर्नमेंट को। ही नोज दैट कंपनी इज रिपोर्टिंग
Yeah.
स्कोप 1, वो डिडक्ट कर देंगे। दोनों कंपनी का नाम आएगा, एक का स्कोप आएगा, स्कोप 3 आएगा, वो
हाँ.
डिडक्ट हो जाएगा
Okay,
और
that's all.
इवेंचुअली रिपोर्टिंग होगी फाइनल। तो आप
Done.
भी टोटल में कर रहे हो 100, वो भी कर रहा होगा 95, उसका 90 डिडक्ट हो जाएगा आपके में से, और उसका भी
That
95 में से अनदर 80 डिडक्ट हो जाएगा माइनिंग के इससे, राइट। एंड
that is all I wanted
इवेंचुअली
to know.
हाँ, केवल वैल्यू ऐड लगाएंगे, वो
Done.
डिस्कशन ही नहीं है ये। और ये डबल काउंटिंग आप समझ गए,
Done. Done. Okay.
right? Because you understood. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
understand the last part of it, that how to select those ideal reporting categories. Okay, to do that, you have certain parameters which you need to apply. Acha, anybody is confused right now, just ask the question, because I am only listening to two people, so other people might be thinking that I am not letting them engage. किसी को इस पे डाउट है क्या? अभी भी जो मैंने एक्सप्लेन करा उस पे डाउट है क्या? Because that's a very pertinent question. We have to understand that part. Ravi, do you
I think same as GST.
GST अगर आपको समझ में आता है, then you are clear.
Yeah,
Ravish,
clear.
It's clear to me, sir.
okay, because you are working as a government, so you know what is there right and what is there wrong. Correct ना? Okay, next, सोमनाथ, आप बताइएगा. Yes. Somnath, what do you think? Are you confused with this concept that why is scope 3 is why is scope 1? And
नहीं is clear.
clear ना? कोई challenge?
Yes.
Okay. Shivangi,
It's clear, sir. I understood.
anybody else who is confused? Okay, if not, let's move on. So we need at least 7 parameters to judge which topic or which category will be relevant to me. First one is size. If the activity that significantly contribute, and please understand GHG protocol for significance, they do not put any threshold. Threshold nahi hai. It is industry to industry and you can make your own significance threshold. Like materiality mein hoti hai, right? Material topic mein, if it is more than 2%, 5%, you can check your own. Similarly, for size also, significant activity will become your critical to adopt under scope 3. Then comes influence. If the activity with potential for emission reduction that the company could influence, okay, then that influence will act whether he is including or not. मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूं ऐसा, आप समझिएगा. If I can influence my supplier because I am the only buyer, I am the off taker of that supplier, in that case, I can influence his working style, and in that case, under scope 3, I should definitely be reporting that activity. क्यों? क्योंकि बाद में वो scope 1 के जैसा it will impact me. If I want to reduce the carbon emission at that source because I am influencing body for him, I should be started reporting on the same. रिपोर्ट करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे? अगर मेरा कंट्रोल है उसके ऊपर, करना चाहिए. क्यों? क्योंकि बाद में आप इम्प्रोवाइज करा सकते हो. थर्ड इज रिस्क. If that activity contributes to company highest risk exposure, वो एक्टिविटी डेफिनेटली आपके इनबिल्ट होना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसकी वजह से आपका कंपनी शट हो सकता है, बंद हो सकता है. So that becomes a critical element for me. Then comes the stakeholder, where activity which deemed critical for my key stakeholder. For example, if I am working with Tata Sons says that diversity is my key activity area. And I do not have diversity in my company. I do not have women employee in my company. Then I should start reporting on the diversity. Are you with me? I'm just giving a simple example. Then you should also look into, so from a stakeholder point of view, you should think. Last but not least comes from outsourcing, sector guidance and others. Others में तो कुछ भी डाल दो. कोई भी activity which deems threatening to you, important to you, or relevant criteria is getting developed, right? You should start preparing yourself. And this will be again coming from the sector guidance. If the sector has a specific guidance from SASB, from CSRD, from CBAM, like CBAM steel और cement industry की बात कर रही है, EV की बात कर रही है चाइना के साथ, in that case, you should adopt that activity which is critical for the sector guidance as your reporting activity along with the outsourcing. Okay, so activity which is previously performed in-house and now you have outsourced like Microsoft is doing, then that outsource activity should become your key category in a scope 3 reporting. Simple है कि नहीं है? Any confusion you have how to select which activity to report on? Tell me now. Everyone put yes in chat box if you are convinced. Not, then say not. I will repeat it
So
once.
in this case, like you are speaking only on the risk part, right?
रिस्क पार्ट, यस, मोस्टली रिस्क पार्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी पार्ट भी ना. अगर मैंने साइज की
अच्छा.
बात करी है, इन्फ्लुएंस की बात करी है, तो मेरे पास अपॉर्चुनिटी है ना कि आई कैन रिड्यूस द कार्बन इमिशन देयर. इट्स माय हॉट स्पॉट. कल जाके वो हॉट स्पॉट हो जाएगा, राइट? इफ इट इज ह्यूज साइज एक्टिविटी व्हिच इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू माय स्कोप 3 emission,
Correct.
instead of avoiding it I should include it. That's the reasoning you have to understand, Ravi. आप देख रहे हो नॉर्मल मेंटालिटी में क्या करेंगे हम लोग? बोलेंगे बंद करो यार, ये सबसे ज्यादा इमिट कर रहा है ना. लाला बोलेंगे हमारे, why you are reporting this, right? He will be concerned you should not report, but you as a GHG accounting guy should put this specific parameter saying that look in my screen, Mr. Lala, this telling me that I should include it and this is my reason. समझे आप? So
Perfect.
it is also opportunity for you, not only this. Anybody else who is clear? Because this is a very important aspect in the report. ये disclaimer देने के पहले you have to show that you have put the effort, right? That's what we learned in 5 principle, that there has to be a fair representation. Disclaimer दे दो, कोई बात नहीं है, लेकिन आपने effort डाला था क्या, वो जरूर establish करना है. You have to establish that. Clear, everyone?
जस्ट वन क्वेश्चन,
Please.
ऐसे कुछ पेनल्टी तो नहीं है ना?
नहीं, अभी
किया
कोई
तो?
पेनल्टी नहीं. Absolutely there is no penalty right now. अभी
This is
कोई
basically
penalty.
just like materiality. So whatever you think is important, then you just report it.
अभी कोई
तो-
उसमें ये नहीं है, कोई भी
तो जब तक मैनेज हो रहे, if the
हाँ,
companies continue, तो क्या मतलब I wanted to
व्हाट्स द
understand
चैलेंज? नहीं, लेकिन
who
आप
will,
ये कि आप
हाँ,
वो लर्निंग कर्व में बिहाइंड हो जाओगे.
लेकिन आप जैसे बोल रहे थे, अब क्या आप बोल रहे थे, भूल गई स्टेटमेंट कि बाद में कभी आइडेंटिफाई होगा हॉटस्पॉट है वो, कल को वो यू नो योर कंपनी कैन
इसके
बी इन
लिए मुझे करना,
प्रॉब्लम्स.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर हॉटस्पॉट है, इफ द साइज ऑफ दैट एक्टिविटी,
हाँ,
size in sense of carbon emission from that activity is highest, then that is definitely my hotspot in scope 3. हाईएस्ट है तो इसको हॉटस्पॉट ही हुआ ना सबसे.
अग्री. फिर भी मैंने नहीं रिपोर्ट किया, तो इज देयर वुड देयर
So
बी
there is no
एनी?
penalty. No, absolutely no penalty. But then you are losing an opportunity. क्योंकि आज से आप रिपोर्ट करोगे, मेजर करोगे, ट्रैक करोगे, तो कल इम्प्रोवाइज भी तो करोगे ना. दैट्स द एडवांटेज ऑफ एनी रिपोर्टिंग, करेक्ट? आप रिपोर्ट क्यों करते हो? बच्चे मिस्टेक कर रहे हैं क्लास में, आप उसका फिर भी फेल कर रहे हैं, फिर भी आप उसका रिपोर्ट कार्ड बनाते हो कि नहीं बनाते हो? आइडियल वर्ल्ड में तो बनना ही नहीं चाहिए. क्यों डिस्करेज करूं लड़के को? अगर वो फेल ही हो रहा है तो फेल हो रहा है, जस्ट लिख दो F, राइट? बट स्टिल उसका रिपोर्ट कार्ड बनता है और जाता है. क्यों जाता है? क्योंकि अगर ट्रैक मेजर और ट्रैक नहीं होगा, वो कभी इम्प्रोवाइज नहीं करेगा. वो आपका हमेशा वीक किड रहेगा थ्रू आउट द सेशन, थ्रू आउट योर 4 year ऑफ ग्रेजुएशन. सो उसको इम्प्रोवाइज कराने के लिए यू हैव टू कैप्चर दिस एज ए अपॉर्चुनिटी. यही मैं
राइट.
समझ रवि को. क्लियर?
So वैसे टॉपर का रिपोर्ट बना तो वो भी और कॉन्फिडेंस हो जाएगा उसको सर.
हाँ, वो भी होता है, बहुत सारे लोगों के सर पे
हाँ.
चढ़ जाता है. आप देखे होंगे, मतलब डॉक्टर तो
हाँ.
देखी होंगी. एक बच्चे को पहले
मैंने
साल
तो
में,
एक्सपीरियंस ही किया है खुद ही.
हाँ, खुद ही. आज तुम्हारा तो खुद का ही. Yeah, sometimes people get little cozy about it. But होना नहीं चाहिए. Ideal, the kids who have already reached to graduation level or master level has gone through all these failures and winning situations and got matured. That is the expectation, that he should get matured over a period of time. इसीलिए फेल करना जरूरी है.
I realized that during engineering.
हाँ, थोड़ा टाइम लगता है, but this is
Yeah.
important task. So then comes one, हो गया आपको मैंने बता दिया कि how to select activity. Second is how to select methods. क्योंकि आपको पहले भी बताया मैंने, there are several methods available, right? Approximately 30 to 40 only methods are there. Then what I need a tool to judge which method and how it should be used. To have that, I have already sent you post read material. आपके पास, सबके पास चला गया है, ग्रुप में पोस्ट हो गया है. ठीक है, आप उसको खोलेंगे तो मैंने ऑलरेडी एक टेबल बना के दे दिया है. कौन सी एक्टिविटी में आइडियली कौन सा सिस्टम यूज करना चाहिए. बट वो तो हो गया, मैंने फिश आपको दे दिया, फिश गया पॉन्ड पे गया, सी में गया, मस्त फिश, अच्छा सालमन हामूर लाके आपके प्लेट पे रख दिया, वो दे दिया मैंने। लेकिन आपको फिशिंग भी आनी चाहिए। टू हैव दैट, दिस इज द सेकेंड स्टेप. How to select calculation method comes from following four criteria. Which are those criteria? Relevant size of the emission from that activity, which are similar, you will see is happening. Okay, कैलाश ने कुछ मेंशन कर दिया, कैलाश ने, अच्छा कैलाश ने किया, ओके ओके।
Oh, sorry, I was not knowing that.
Again, same category which we saw in the previous stage for selecting the activity. Similar filter I have to apply, that which method I should use. If it has a very important activity, I have realized through my criteria, selection criteria, पिछले वाली slide से, right? Size के हिसाब से, this activity has a massive carbon emission in scope 3 for me. Just imagine, okay? What I will do, I will select a method which is most appropriate in that case. मतलब क्या हुआ? 3 tier, सोमनाथ, आपकी learning हुई थी कल, right? Tier 1, 2 and 3. The larger the tier number, better or bad is it?
The more general it is.
Tier 3 is good for you or bad for you?
Best, tier
Best
3.
for you, absolutely, doctor. So जैसे ही आपको मालूम चला कि दिस इज अ मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एक्टिविटी, आपने सेम चीज मेथड में भी लगाना है. यू हैव टू टेक द मोस्ट एप्रोप्रिएट मेथड अवेलेबल फॉर यू. इफ टीयर 1 है, टीयर 1 ले लो. इफ टीयर 2 है, टीयर 2 ले लो. आइडियली यू शुड टेक टीयर 3 इफ इट इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. बट टीयर 3 में चैलेंज कहाँ आता है? वो आता है आपके कॉस्ट पे. इट बिकम्स अ वेरी कॉस्टली एक्सरसाइज. इसीलिए आपको पहला स्टेप भी आना चाहिए. व्हाट वाज द पहला स्टेप? फर्स्ट स्टेप वाज टू मेक श्योर दैट दिस इज अ क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी फॉर यू. सो बोथ गोज हैंड इन हैंड. If it is a critical activity, then make sure that Kailash goes to that Khedegaon and collect the data personally, because it is the most important activity for me in the whole scope 3. That's why I will do, even though it's a costly exercise, time taking exercise, I will make sure the data is tier 3 data. Clear? Then comes the data availability itself. अब वो फार्मर मिल गया वहां पे, उसको इंग्लिश ही समझ में नहीं आती है, और मैं हूं नहीं हिंदी में बात करने के लिए. बाला विजय इज स्टक, राइट? So now data availability is a challenge. Then also we have to select which method in that case we should be using. If there is no data, then like somebody said, put a disclaimer and start reporting it. But make sure the disclaimer is put after you take enough effort to collect that data. Data quality will be another problem. You want real-time output, and you are getting only after a month. Means we were working for a railway company, okay, part of a railway company, which is Railtail. How many of you have heard about Railtail? जितने भी आप रेलवे के प्लेटफॉर्म पे जाएंगे और आपको इंटरनेट की एक कनेक्टिविटी मिलेगी, विच इज प्रोवाइडेड फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट बाय गूगल और अदर पीपल, दैट कम्स फ्रॉम अ रेल कंपनी कॉल्ड रेलटेल. Now they had more than 47 stations altogether, and they have a headquarters in Delhi. When they started this exercise, because IRCTC reports, Rail Ministry of course reports, they started this exercise, they were in the same doldrum. They are just putting a router and a chip and maybe a office, a small office with one person who is there for troubleshoot in that remote town, right? Varanasi, Allahabad, remote towns, not in headquarter. How much emission that guy is making? They can't even afford it. उतना margin ही नहीं है उनके पास. Google is giving them free. Government is giving their salary. If they ask anything extra than that in the budget, they will be questioned, because it's not a huge profitable venture for government of India. And in that case, justifying calculating a scope 3 emission and putting routers के ऊपर एक IoT device to calculate the emission by router, is a totally unacceptable exercise. And that's why that data is not available. And even though it is available, the quality we don't know. So law of average people use. Then comes the cost and effort required for each method also need to be judged, which I have mentioned in the beginning, and any additional criteria which the company identify has to be considered. So these are the specifically 6 ways. Pehle wale mein 7 to decide which activity to report, and then 6 ways to judge if this activity I am reporting, which kind of data emission set I should be taking. And nobody teaches this part specifically, okay? So this is very important to understand. And using a combination is a critical part. So you should never use single way of reporting. Always triangulate. Always triangulate. Now, if I had a time, I would have given you 2 examples. One coffee company example, how they judge themselves. But all of you have asked enough questions, so you understand. Let me explain that, how you can combine it all together. For example, if data accuracy is a challenge for me. Now, accurate data, which means accurate data for significant opportunity or risk is not, or contributor is not available, right? It is significant, but I don't have accurate data now. मतलब स्कोप 3 रेलटेल में ये 47 डिफरेंट स्टेशंस थे जो पार्ट थे उसके, लेकिन वहां डेटा कैलकुलेट करने का कोई चांस ही नहीं है, उनका ऑफिस ही फिक्स नहीं है. They have been given one chair next to TT. That guy also comes once in a while. He is not required to sit there every day. When trouble comes, he gets a call, he runs. ऐसे तो आपको मालूम ही है रेल का कनेक्ट कितना होता है, सबको मालूम है. वाईफाई कनेक्ट हुआ है क्या किसी को लाइफ में? आई डोंट नो. So उसको आने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. Is not there. So point here is, first of all, data accuracy is paramount, but I don't have accurate data. So what I will do, a less accurate data with minor contribution, I will use it and make it very clear. If this data is a data calculated based on the average. And I am now checking that through extrapolation technique. अब देखो कैसे sanity in data a researcher brings, right? Miss Doctor, whenever you do research, do you do only by one parameter, or you judge by triangulation as well? कि जो मैंने
No, triangulation always serves.
100% सेम थिंग यहाँ पे लगाते हैं लोग. जो आप डेली करते हो यहाँ पे वो एनुअल एक्सरसाइज में लगाना ही चाहिए. जो नहीं कर रहे हैं वही रॉन्ग रिपोर्ट प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. अगर आपने ट्रायंगुलेशन कर दिया तो आपने यहाँ मिस्टेक भी किया होगा ना. यू हैव अ सेफ्टी नेट. इसीलिए लोग बोलते हैं सैंपल साइज बढ़ाओ. और ये सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम रिसर्च में भी है. सैंपल छोटा रहता है, बड़ा बात करते हैं हम लोग, राइट? बनारस में जो रिपोर्टिंग हुई थी कि कोविड का वैक्सीन लेने की वजह से 90% लोग मर गए. जो भी रिपोर्टिंग थी, 1000 लोगों का ही सैंपल था. इमीडिएटली गवर्नमेंट ने पिकअप किया, वो आदमी अंदर चला गया जिसने रिपोर्ट किया. और रिसर्चर की क्या गलती है? डेटा ही नहीं अवेलेबल है. वो 1000 आदमी का डेटा कैसे निकाला होगा उसी को मालूम है. लेकिन वो चैलेंज रहता है कोई भी रिसर्चर को. तो आपको भी ये चैलेंज आएगा, राइट? सो डेटा एक्यूरेसी को हमेशा ट्रायंगुलेट करो एंड फिश बोन डायग्राम बना के एस्टैब्लिश कर लो. क्लियर? With that, if you have any question, ask. Otherwise, I am going to the next section, which is calculation methods. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Not it.
Okay. Okay, so now in the second part of our discussion, we will try to see the sources of these emissions. We will also look into category-wise breakdown, that how to identify the source is there and what data to collect. And then we will look into what are the challenges people are facing. Okay? We have already learned about those 8 upstream activity and those 7 downstream activity. Now, we have also considered screening and identifying relevant scope 3 category and which method to use. What we are discussing now is the sources which are available at our disclosure. So there are three major source people categorize between tier 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. And again, it is very, very much people who are using it. And thereby, I prescribe that you select tier 1 data. First, start with tier 1. Show the cost to company that to have tier 1 data, this is the cost you will have. They will definitely negotiate with you. Then you accept their negotiation and take the tier 2 data. If you can't even establish that, and Lalaji said, I don't care, I cannot spend more than 25,000 bucks, then you go to tier 3 data. Tier 3 data generally starts with Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. Why? Because most of the institutions across world accept this data. They accept this data as tier 3. Then tier 2, some people say, is DEFRA data. I still believe it is tier 3 data in Indian context. Why? Even though they have done a lot of research in Europe, they might fail in America, USA, and in India. Weather conditions are different. Logistic cost is different. Business-wise also, UK, Europe has a different cost structure than India. India may always remember, jugaad mentality always works. So you might be having similar man ka truck in Europe functioning, and you have a man ka truck in India functioning. Both will have a different kind of emission. How many of you understand and knows it? Who has, like Ravi, who must have seen his emissions or at least the expenditure on fuel as a finance head. You must be knowing कि efficiency इंडिया में नहीं मिलती है उसी फैक्ट्री से, या कभी कभी ज्यादा मिलती है जुगाड़ करके. अभी बीपीसीएल एंड आईओसी, आपने सुना कि नहीं, बैंगलोर में डीजल prices are skyrocketing right now. Okay.
Yes.
Suddenly has gone up. So all transportation people have seen in the newspaper yesterday or day before yesterday, even people have come in newspaper and advertised that don't worry about diesel prices, take this 10 rupees ka sachet, add it into your 1 liter of diesel and your engine will give you say double. देखा कि नहीं देखा आपने? इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में आया.
जी जी.
इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स में आया, मतलब कल ही देखा मैंने इसका. Yeah. So this is how Indian jugaad works. Now tell me, if somebody is putting such kind of jugaad, how DEFRA will come to know? That's why सोमनाथ ने जब गाइड किया सबको कि छोड़ दीजिए DEFRA, सीधा पकड़िए CEEW. Correct, Somnath? That was the reason you suggested. Correct or wrong?
It was for this
Yes.
aluminum.
Yes.
हाँ, एल्युमिनियम के नहीं,
For
उसके लिए
aluminum.
बोल रहे हैं, वो सबके लिए बोल रहा है. सबका डेटा CEW कैलकुलेट कर रहा है आज के डेट में, उस एसोसिएशन के साथ बैठ के. So that's a good development by CEW, and just search करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. I can get in the newspaper and I can show you guys. मतलब India is not for jokers. India is for really matured people. Okay.
So, but if that oil thing works like for efficiency,
कर रहा है
then
भाई,
everyone should use it,
efficiency
right?
कर रहा है, स्पीड भी, मतलब स्पीड भी लोगों को मिल जाती है और एफिशिएंसी भी, माइलेज भी मिल रहा है.
No, then even DEFRA should consider that. No, they should put it in UK
यार
also.
डेफरा को मालूम चलना चाहिए ना. आप फोन करोगे क्या? विल यू कॉल हिम?
So, कर
उसको
लूंगा
कैसे
सर.
मालूम चलेगा? आप बताओ ना, उसको मालूम कैसे चलेगा? डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल फूड एंड रूरल अफेयर, दैट्स द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ डेफ्रा. आप समझ लो, अब आपका MOEF विल गो टू यूके एंड कलेक्ट द डेटा फ्रॉम देयर विदाउट दे गेट पेड TA, DA, CA, EA. कभी नहीं करेंगे वो. हमारे लोग जाएंगे क्या यूके में डेटा कलेक्ट करने के लिए? गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल है, मिनिमम सैलरी मिलती है भाई, राइट. और ये सब डिपार्टमेंट में ऐसे भी कुछ ज्यादा ऊपर नीचे का चक्कर नहीं होता है, मतलब नॉर्मल पीपल के लिए. इसमें भी जुगाड़ू होते हैं. एनवायरमेंटल में तो बहुत पैसा है.
Sir, ऐसे time you
ग्रीन
need people who
ग्रीन
work for
टर्मिनल में
get
फंसा.
data good.
Not for everyone. The point is not for everyone. They can make up and down, but not for everyone. एनालिस्ट जो काम ये डेटा का कर रहा है, रिसर्च कर रहा है ना, उसके पास टाइम है ना और उसके पास करेज है कि वो जाके उस कंट्री का कलेक्ट करेगा. वो क्या करता है? वो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट ऑफ फूड एंड रूरल अफेयर्स ऑफ यूके का करेगा फोन. उसको बोलेगा भाई अगर आपके पास कोई डेटा एक्स्ट्रा आया है रिसेंट में, प्लीज अपडेट करिए, राइट. या उनके वेबसाइट पे जाके चेक करेगा. दैट्स हाउ द अपडेट हैपेंस. नोबडी physically go there and do it. And that's why when I heard CEEW, I don't know the full form of it. It's a private organization, but it's a NGO, I believe.
Council of Energy and Environment, something. I don't
You
know
have to
the
give an
full name.
interview with them so you know them. I have not even tried with them, but looks like a genuine authority. Why? Because one guy, Jena, which is a common friend of Girish. Ravi, you hear him, right? Always Jena people will talk. He used to
Yes.
work there as a VP. That's why I know him. So if they have that data, I'm very happy. And that will become my tier one data. If somebody so near is actually collecting the data from industry sources and producing a report, then data will be definitely authentic. Again, I'm guessing, I have not seen it. And here in our case, specifically Central Electric Authority, CEA, provides such kind of reliable data. Then comes average data emission factor. तो मैंने आपको 3 लेवल में बताया. पहला तो आपको बता दिया कि कौन 3 है आइडियली, कौन 2 है, कौन 1 है. Now average wala game which Kailash wants to play. Then he will have more sources apart from IPCC, DEFRA. He will also have EcoInvent, Axiobase, Gabi and CIMAPro. Everybody takes its name. अगर एवरेज डेटा चाहिए, go to them. However, Gabi and CIMAPro sometime in certain industry, even in India, gives you tier 1 data. क्यों? क्योंकि सारे कंपनी आपके और मेरे वाले यूज कर रहे हैं एवरेज निकालने के चक्कर में, और वो अपना डेटा उसमें डाल देते हैं. योर डेटा हैज गॉन पब्लिक नाउ. आर यू विथ मी? ये कोई समझता नहीं है. हमें तो लगता है कि मैं तो एआई यूज करके जिबली आर्ट बना रहा हूँ, राइट? देयर वाज अ ट्रेंड एंड देन somebody came into media and exposed the OpenAI, so people stopped. Otherwise it was a complete trend. All my friend has used ghibli art from OpenAI. या डेली नया अपडेट आ रहा था फैमिली फोटो के साथ. What was actually happening behind Gabi Pro and Seema? People are forgetting that you are uploading your data, brother. या ऐसे सारी कंपनियां करती हैं. ब्लूमबर्ग, आप उनका टर्मिनल लेने जाओगे, पहला कंडीशन है यू हैव टू पुट योर डेटा देयर, देन यू विल गेट. जबकि वो 1 करोड़ मांगते हैं एक टर्मिनल का, सारा फाइनेंशियल डेटा आपका वो ले लेते हैं. आप समझ रहे हो? गोल्ड है आपका इंफॉर्मेशन, एंड दिस इज हाउ पीपल आर गेटिंग इट. सो एक्सियो बेस, इको इन्वेंट, आईपीसीसी, डेफ्रा, मेहनत नहीं करना, यूज करो, बट यू आर ऑल्सो गेटिंग एक्सपोज योर सेल्फ. So these are few data sources where average data you will get. And then comes the spend based emission factor. These are specifically country based, like EPA is one of those US body which has developed spend based emission factor. So अगर आपको डॉलर वाले जो हम लोग कर रहे थे कैलकुलेशन स्कोप 1 and 2 में, अगर वैसे कैलकुलेशन करने हैं, then you have to use EPA का डेटा, which is Environmental Protection Agency of United States. Clear? और इवन सर्टेन कंट्री लाइक इंडिया में भी आपको मिल जाएगा सीईए के थ्रू, राइट? पर डॉलर स्पेंट और पर यूरो स्पेंट डेटा कम्स फ्रॉम देयर. Sector specific data, of course, Axiobase is that company which provides a sector specific, revenue specific. If your company is in $1 billion revenue, right? So they have created a specific data set for you. But now you know the game and trick of the trade that they will take your data. That's how they make it matured and gets accurate. Same like what AI is doing today. So now you have, if you are talking about a spend-based emission factor, these are the critical approaches. First is the supplier specific method. Accuracy of supplier specific method like CIMAPro, Gabi. Yeah, everybody is training on them. And I tell people that what you are learning, you can learn it your own self. CIMAPro के लिए ट्रेनर थोड़ी चाहिए, वो तो सॉफ्टवेयर है. अभी मैं एक्सेल आपको अगर नहीं भी कर रहा हूं तो कैन यू नॉट डू द कैलकुलेशन? ऑलरेडी इन द फ्री सेशन वी हैव डन दैट कैलकुलेशन, मल्टीप्लाइंग emission factor to the activity data which you are collecting. What you need to know the nuances, right? And do the practice. This is what I am going to cover here. I'm not going to take you on a software and get you to put your data and calculate it. कोई मतलब ही नहीं है उसका, right? But people are paying huge amount for learning on CIMAPro and Gabi, yeah, and learning something which is not even useful for them. Why? Because supplier specific data gives the highest accuracy. Accuracy level high रहेगी. मतलब कौन सा level का data we are talking about? Tell me that first.
You repeat that, I didn't hear it.
Supplier specific method if I am using, which means accuracy will be really high. highly accurate capturing of specific supplier processes is happened there. For example, oil and gas industry. Oil and gas industry का डेटा जो आता है, इवन सैप वाले आजकल एक पूरा सॉफ्टवेयर बनाए हैं ईएसजी रिपोर्टिंग के लिए. Okay, and they have this supplier specific data because all across world, all oil and gas company will prefer SAP even for their supply chain. So they have already collected enough data there. So this data is highly accurate. Now you tell me which category this data is, tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3?
Tier
Tier
3.
3.
Absolutely. And if I am saying average data method, then which tier we are talking about, where accuracy is medium level?
2.
2. And then spend based is tier
2.
1. Spend based is always little further away because it's a very common. People have converted all their activity in dollar. In some country, less dollar, some country, higher dollar, same cheese. If you are buying milk in India and milk in US, do you think price is same? Dollar based पे भी? Absolutely not. PPP action में आएगा, आपकी salary level,
Purchasing power.
parity पे सारा game है. So thereby, this data is the farthest most data in approaches, spend based data. Clear?
So
और ये
that average data method is tier 2. How, like, even the spend based using average, right? What is the difference?
means average based data is not industry specific data, not spend based data. It is furthermore averaging has been done. For example,
Okay.
emission estimates has happened through physical quantity, which is supplier specific based data. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया SAP पे तो सारे oil and gas company वाले काम कर रहे हैं. So they are putting how much of oil they have extracted from the ground, how much they have
Okay.
processed and sold. On that basis, they also calculate NOx, SOx and AQI. Half of
Okay.
them definitely does. So they have
हाँ.
already uploaded कि बॉस मैंने 5 लीटर extract किया या 5 barrel extract किया, 5 barrel have extracted from ground and I have made so much of carbon dioxide emission because he calculated it. BP हो गया, Shell हो गया, they have put AQI system. For them, it's not a big cost because anyway they have to measure flames which comes out of this process. So they have put that data. Now all the supplier who are doing a small extraction like ONGC will rely on that data. Instead of buying that data, they will buy the SAP software, link it to it automatically, they will get all the data. When we are
Okay, so
talking about spend based is EPA, DEFRA or IPCC has calculated, converted into dollar and given you the data. When I'm talking average, I'm talking combination of these two. Maybe in liter only I am producing data, but I am taking an average of the liters rather than a specific data. क्योंकि मैं SAP को access नहीं कर सकता हूँ. Not everybody can put SAP. SAP is the costliest ERP system, costlier than even Oracle, right? So I might be using average based data based on average method, which is mass or physical quantity of the goods. So it will be again in tons, liters. It will not be in dollars, completely different, where PPP will have a major a discussion. That's why this is called average data method. Is it clear?
So basically, Shell ने खुद का data दिया तो that is supplier. He's calculated on data. So अगर मेरी company है, छोटी company है, मेरे पास data नहीं है, तो I'll calculate Shell, ONGC, whatever उनका सब mix करके I will take their average data and put it for mine, right?
Correct.
That is level 2.
And
And level 3 would be just comment about what what oil refined generally consider and convert it to your dollar, whatever, and that will be basic generic data. That will be tier 3.
तो
Tier
अच्छा
1.
मैं क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ, which is a tricky question, and the question is this: I am a small company, okay, and I am producing emission activity data into liters.
Okay.
This is the information you have. Tell me which tier I am in, or which tier will suit me most. I am a very small company. I have collected
Tier 2.
Why?
Oh wait, tier 1, which is the exact specific data, right? Wait, I'm
Tier
confused.
3 is exact specific data, Kailash. First, let it be clear. Higher the number, it is.
The first one, yeah, no, I just can confirm first and third. The third one, the best one will be the most accurate data. That will be the one. The tier 3.
Tier 3. No. Answer will be no. Why? Because I'm very small company. I cannot afford those softwares. Those supplier specific data I can't afford.
हाँ.
तो अब क्या करूंगा मैं? लीटर में डेटा है ना,
Then it will be
Right.
tier 2.
Tier 2, absolutely. Good. So collection of activity data for scope 3 comes from following activity. These are those activities. For example, purchase good and service. You will be collecting data from supplier inventory record. That's the easiest way to get it because you will get liters, kgs, etc. Purchase order, POs से भी आप ले सकते हो. And procurement record will be another one, right? So procurement record will be in purchase of goods and service. Now, second one is capital goods. Second one is just second one is capital goods. Capital goods में फिर से कहां से डेटा लेंगे? Supplier से. Best position here is supplier because he's making that as a machine. So he knows how much carbon he has emitted. So ask him, he will provide you. प्रोक्योरमेंट डेटा, आपके पास जो बिल ऑफ लैडिंग आई है, आपका पीओ ऑर्डर आया, उसमें भी डेटा हो सकता है कि कितने का आया. आप एटलीस्ट डॉलर वाला तो डेफिनेटली होगा कि कितने डॉलर का आपने खरीदा. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट लीस्ट इज कैपिटल एसेट रजिस्टर. If you know, fixed asset register captures the original value and also captures the depreciation. So you will know what is current value of that capital good and how much it might be emitting right now. Then comes fuel energy related data. Of course, fuel and energy consumption related data under scope 1 and 2 inventory need to be captured. Upstream transport के लिए fuel energy data has to be captured. Waste generated in operation is waste tracking system. Third party waste management data and financial record. If I am talking about business travel, best place is to call your travel agency, ask him that which flight I have taken, what was the configuration of the flight, and tell me if he has collected any emission data. Indigo is the best place, by the way, to get the data because they report completely. Based on the flight to flight, they will tell you how much carbon emission they have done. And a lot of many internationally, तो बहुत सारी कंपनियां हैं which will tell you on your ticket itself how much carbon emission you are doing. So get that tickets into your record and calculate actual carbon emission. Least here will be financial record. Business travel का सारा record निकाल लीजिए आपके MIS से and get that data. And exactly same way for other data as well. This is the way you collect the activity data. Once you have collected the activity data, calculation starts. Now, I won't be doing calculation, but you guys can take a screenshot and do this calculation in your free time because we have already crossed too much time today. Or can I take one more session? So we will do this calculation live. Will you allow me to take additional one session
Today or someday weekend?
tomorrow, and it has to be in afternoon or on weekend in afternoon. Apart from our regular session, can I take one more session where we just do calculation, scope 1, 2, and 3? क्योंकि
Yes.
अभी हम लोग नहीं किए
So
हैं.
I will not be able to make it on weekend afternoon.
या नहीं,
Weekend
अब नहीं
means
कर पाएंगे, अब होगा ही
weekend
नहीं.
is what? Saturday or Sunday?
Weekend is Saturday, Sunday. Both day we are on, right? Because we will be doing the mitigation and presentation will be happening. So we need to spend another 1 or 2 hours just doing the calculation. Why I am saying, because today I will give you, because I have prepared one questionnaire. Case-based 6 questions are there to calculate scope 1 and 2 emission calculation. But unfortunately, I am not able to finish scope 3. So how can I do scope 1 calculations? Forget about calculation. So I will give you that as exercise. Test yourself. If you are able to do it your own self, find out the answer, post it tomorrow, then there is no need of having weekend pay extra session. But if not, then I would prefer that let's do 1, 2, and 3 live calculation like I'm showing you field 1. Instead of field 1, I will bring a blank Excel sheet and we will do it together. Which one you like most? Tell me that.
Doing together, of course.
Doing together. So we'll do the together one. Meanwhile, what I will do, I will close the session early. You guys, one thing you do, you take this scope 1 ka question. Okay. Let me open that question and explain you how it works. Okay. Can somebody check if it is already there with you guys? I have sent you 2 documents, right, today?
But they are not accessible, Abhi.
But we asked for access.
Abhi de deta
This
hu. Good, you have reminded, so I will give you right away. Okay. Okay, fine. So let me start with first. I give you the जहाँ पे मैं अभी हूँ. This is another one. This is the questions. Okay, case study. 6 case study for scope 1 is there, which we wanted to do it together. This one you do it your own self. You will realize where you are getting stuck. Once you will be stuck, again, tomorrow we are meeting, so I will try to solve it. Otherwise, we will also cover in final day session, which will be exclusive for running the calculations. Ask me now, I will give you the access to this particular file right away. Kailas has already asked. Given Kailas. Okay, now let me give you other ones as well.
So for me also, requested access.
जैसे आएगा मेरे पास prompt, you will get it, don't worry. I'm sitting there to just do this time, so nobody is left behind. Okay, next one. Yes, Megha, everybody is there.
So I would also need access to the previous 2 documents you sent
वही
just before.
वही हो रहा है. Just wait. Okay.
If you're doing the calculation session, extra session, could we do it tomorrow, just in case? Afternoon? I have off tomorrow.
Sir is with you guys. You talk to each other and get me a date. I won't mind.
We can take a poll here. Tomorrow, if the time gets decided, I might be available. My session is not there.
Tomorrow I am only busy. Ravi, कब है हम लोगों का diamond session? 11:30 है. So 11:30 to 1, I am busy. After that we are free. Correct, Ravi? खाना हम लोग ब्रेक में ही ले लेंगे, कोई इशू नहीं.
I'm free all day tomorrow.
So 2 p.m. is the time, or 2:30?
Yes, 2 p.m. works for me. If everybody agrees, I am okay. 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. These
I'm okay
two
with
sessions, we can do it live. Okay, everybody
So
got that?
weekend will be better, sir, actually.
Because tomorrow I'll be in office.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will have office as well.
That's the only challenge I knew. Given you
Tomorrow I will have classes.
as well.
Yes,
in
weekends will be better because in office, 2 hours, you don't know how are you placed.
And ये कैलकुलेशन करना पड़ेगा, इसमें आप लिसनिंग मोड में नहीं रह सकते. You have to work, right? So वो एक challenge.
Weekend will do.
Is it possible for me to book a private session tomorrow?
इतना टाइम होता तो I would have loved to do. Why not?
नहीं, इसलिए पूछा ना
Weekend can
मैंने,
be
if there's time.
Weekend we can
Because-
agree. We can agree.
Yeah.
Weekend.
I work
Weekend
weekends also.
is Sunday possible because my Saturday is also working. We have got audit team there, so we are stuck in that.
I get
preparation.
off on Thursdays this week and I work weekends.
अभी ये वीकेंड कमिट नहीं करते हैं, ठीक है. होगा तो हम लोग मंडे कर लेंगे, एक दिन एक्स्ट्रा करके उस दिन बैठ जाएंगे. We'll sit in evening 7 to 9.
Monday will be better.
That's how we will do. We'll take 1 day extra completely, maybe on the same cycle 7 to 9 वाले में, and we will pick it up if that is a challenge. So let's not agree for the weekend. Let me share the screen.
Access is needed.
Sir, access नहीं है.
What you sent.
Okay. Let it go. No worries. So there are 2 documents which access has been given to you all. One is the navigating the GHG protocol. तो मैंने आपको बोला था कुंजी दे दूंगा. So I'm giving you the kunji. So my duty is over. This one covers both protocols. Protocol, GHG protocol, which is the book which has been shared day before yesterday. उसकी कुंजी ये है. Introduction 2 to 5 page definitely you should read. Specifically you should know purpose, scope, stakeholder and revised edition में क्या ऐड हुआ है. That you should be knowing. Chapter 1 में again page number 6 to 9 में principle and application you should be knowing. That's how I have defined it for one book. second book which has been given today or yesterday. Yesterday it was given, right? The scope 3 one कि मॉर्निंग में आया है आपके पास आज कॉर्पोरेट वैल्यू चेन वाला डॉक्यूमेंट. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव रिसीव्ड कॉर्पोरेट वैल्यू चेन डॉक्यूमेंट?
आज ही आया था सर वो.
आज ही आया ना, आ गया ना. उसमें क्या
Yes,
क्या
we
आपको पढ़ना है वो भी मैंने इसमें डिफाइन किया है. लाइक पेज 10 जस्ट रीड दैट पेज. पेज 18 जस्ट रीड दैट पेज. पेज 22 पे प्रिंसिपल ओवरव्यू एंड अप्लाइंग प्रिंसिपल कैसे करना है वो पढ़ लीजिए. 26 पे कैटेगरी 3 पढ़ लीजिए एंड उसका टाइम फ्रेम का बाउंड्री पढ़ लीजिए. इफ यू गेट टाइम, अगेन इसमें भी 10 पेज मैंने आपको निकाल के दिए हैं, तो इट्स नॉट अ इजी जॉब, but if you get time, do read it. These are the critical pages which you should be aware about it and knowing it. That is document number 1. Document number 2 is the summary. Which method suits the best of upstream and downstream has been listed. Exclusive material है, use करिए जितना कर सकते हैं. ठीक है? So my job is done, and then this was the practice set which was shared to all of you now. These are the 6 questions. Try to solve it before tomorrow's session. So you have 3 documents, to be exact, 4 documents to be referred. ठीक है? Who is
वो मॉर्निंग वाला डॉक्यूमेंट एक बार रीशेयर हो जाएगा क्या? अनेबल टू लोकेट.
you are unable to locate that? Okay, no worry. I'll mark it for you. This is the one. Check there, you will get it. Clear?
Where you have same group you have marked, na?
In the WhatsApp group. In WhatsApp group, check there, you will get, I have remarked that. Got it?
I have refreshed. I've not got.
So this documentation mein, one was on this value chain, right?
Sorry?
On this documentation that you have shared.
4 documents have been shared today. First document was in morning, which I have resent just now, which is corporate value chain emissions standard by GHG protocol. Clear?
Scope 3 ये वाला?
हाँ, स्कोप 3 ही है. वो एक डॉक्यूमेंट है जो अभी मार्क किया मैंने लास्ट में व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में. प्लीज चेक इन GRI GHG स्पेशलिस्ट ग्रुप. 1 document. Second document is your scope 3 का गाइड बुक फॉर डेटा एंड एक्शन. क्या आपको कौन सा मेथड यूज करना चाहिए उसका एग्जाम्पल दिया है वहां पे. सो इट विल बिकम अ एक्सरसाइज फॉर यू. यू विल लर्न इट थ्रू. ठीक है? और कौन सा मेथड है राइट. तीसरा जो डॉक्यूमेंट है आई हैव गिवन यू कि क्या पढ़ना है इन दोनों डॉक्यूमेंट में. स्कोप 3 का जो स्टैंडर्ड है एंड GHG प्रोटोकॉल का रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड है, उनमें पढ़ना क्या है आपको. व्हाट यू शुड रीड. That is third document. And fourth document is practice set for as a case study for, which is a live case study, a manufacturing facility in Gujarat, vehicle leasing company in Hyderabad. All this company का डेटा मैंने दिया है. मोस्टली स्कोप 1 और स्कोप 2 का डेटा है. आप उसका कैलकुलेट करके मेरे को पोस्ट करिए एज असाइनमेंट इन द ग्रुप. 6 क्वेश्चंस हैं. जितना जल्दी करेंगे उतना बेटर है.
Sir,
Clear?
I didn't
So
get
the third document, what you said, I'm not
practice.
got it.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Is this document is with you?
Second.
Sir, I've sent a request to access the document that you've reshared.
Okay, I will. Subodh where there is asked. Okay. Megha, you have access to a scope 3 document, correct? Guide and data and action.
Guide to request.
Are you able to see my screen? Are you guys able to see my screen?
This unlocking scope 3.
हाँ,
ठीक है.
you have, all of you got access. You also got access of, you are already visible there, Megha, doctor.
This I have the access.
You
हाँ
have,
ये मिल
The
गया
one you have reshared, which you shared in the morning.
okay, okay, fair. उसको मैंने WhatsApp ग्रुप में this one करके डाला है अभी 2058 पे.
Sir, I didn't get that practice set.
Okay, one by
ESGPro
one.
guide
Let me address it.
2058.
You didn't get it. आप ग्रुप में ही नहीं हो क्या?
सर ये वाला आया नहीं
मेरे
दिस
डॉक्टर,
ESGPro
अरे एक मिनट, आप इस एक मिनट
जे
रुको.
जे
नहीं, मैं जो पूछ रहा हूँ बता. मेघा, आपने देख लिया है उस डॉक्यूमेंट को? यू हैव ऑलरेडी गॉट दिस डॉक्यूमेंट, दिस वन.
wait. I'm not there in the screen on Zoom screen. Which one you're talking? This I have access. This you shared abhi evening में.
फोर्थ डे प्री रीड मटेरियल विच इज GHG अकाउंटिंग स्कोप 3 इमिशन स्टैंडर्ड.
वो स्क्रीन पे आप शेयर कर रही है ना, कौन सा डॉक्यूमेंट है?
स्क्रीन पे नहीं है, स्क्रीन पे नहीं है, मेरे व्हाट्सएप पे है, इसलिए मैं आपको चैट बॉक्स में डालता हूँ. एवरीवन लुक इनटू चैट बॉक्स. यू हैव द फोर्थ डॉक्यूमेंट एज वेल नाउ. Somebody now is saying there is another challenge. Somebody is saying she has not received. I think Shivangi, you have not received certain data as well. Which is that data?
कैसे सेव करूं?
Sir, I have all the documents. I have received every document.
Very good.
Sir,
तो
it's me.
चैट बॉक्स में डाल दिया आपको स्टैंडर्ड स्कोप 3 वाला. कैन यू सी द जूम का चैट बॉक्स डॉक्टर? बाला विजय, इफ यू
Sir,
हैव.
नहीं, the link I have got even on the WhatsApp, but I have
अच्छा,
I'm
access you
requesting
are saying.
access.
Got it.
pre-read module
I thought you didn't get the document itself.
नहीं the link I could access, but access was not there.
Okay, clear. Okay, there are 3 people who are asking access. We give them all. Yeah. I don't know who is this Dauda Azarat. Anybody who knows this name?
Still did not get access. क्या हो रहा है?
Not really, sir. It's a very new name.
Dauda Azarat. I don't know who is that guy. Done.
Now got the access.
So now everybody got all the access.
Sir, I got that corporate value and then scope 3 guideline, I guess. Scope 3 and then ESGPro guide, and I didn't get the fourth one.
Practice set.
Yeah.
You didn't get the practice set. Okay. Okay, fine. So let me see. Yeah, no, you are not even asking. Okay, Omnath is asking that data. Okay. Chat box, Bala. I am sending you there. Can you ask me the permission? Zoom का chat box. Bala Vijay.
Sir, I have asked for the permission, sir.
Fair. Now I will get that. Done. Please check everyone, because there is too much of reading material. I want to read it
बहुत
today
सारा
itself. Kal ka you never know, right? Will you get time or you will not get time?